There we go.
Also, just in general,
Yeah, we're live now.
the introspection, just the journey that I had with it was different than some of the other ones.
I do it once a year, dude.
For me, it was almost more like I was faced to kind of confront a lot of things immediately. Versus being,
Do me a favor.
Versus kind of like coming to the realization after the fact. It was almost like the opposite for me on this batch than other times.
Check.
Know what I mean, so it was almost like hard and scary, and then I had to do my thing, and then afterwards, and I got through everything. And it wasn't a bad.
You guys, make sure you talk into that mic. You don't have to wear headphones, but make sure you talk into that mic.
Yeah, sure. I guess
It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. The weird thing is for some reason I'm not getting any fucking audio.
I'll let you know if you're getting anything.
You got your dude here?
No, we don't have a producer tonight. We're flying solo.
No, dude.
No, dude,
Check,
man.
check.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on. The mics are working fine, but I ain't hearing shit.
Tip. I'm probably just hearing myself.
You guys can at least keep talking while I figure this out.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So it was good. It was good, and then it was just an opposite thing for me. I was like, oh shit, you know. Normally it's the thing, and it's chill, and I have a wonderful afterwards in my reflection. Kind of like, this was like, you're dealing with this now, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do what you normally. It was just like I was definitely like having this like inner confliction of like I knew I had to, so I ultimately pushed through it. And then the next day, and then like the days Monday, Tuesday, I was just like, oh, that's
All right.
what I needed.
Still.
All right, so that's a 58. Maddie, that's a 58, so I need you to eat that mic. If you got to move that, closer to you so you can get more comfortable with it.
It's got a boom on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can move that and twist that, get comfortable with it however you want. I got to figure out, while you guys are talking, I got to figure out what the fuck's going on with these monitors because I ain't hearing shit. And it's freaking me out, man. Loosen this screw down here, yep, and then spin it the opposite way. It's really freaking me out that I can't hear shit, though. Wait a minute. Oh, my headphones were backwards. Only one of my earbuds work in this set, and I had them on backwards. I'm stupid. Well, everybody, welcome to the podcast. Thank you guys for coming. Matt, it's your first time here. Jeremy, thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, chat, I appreciate you all telling me that everything is really, really quiet. You are correct. It was way too quiet. Yes, Murph. Oh, Murph just hung up. So he knows we know now. Yes, I think we got it. Yeah, the only thing is just make sure you talk right into that fucker.
Like this thing?
Yeah, like literally like that. Yep, there you go.
Smooth and sultry, or do you need it louder? Just kidding.
Hear me pretty good?
Nope.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Oh. I'm talking, so.
Keep talking.
Hi. You're here for music.
Make sure that mic cable is plugged in all the way.
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Hey. Oh, here's why.
We were here for a couple hours. I think we maybe should have tested some of this stuff.
You might have had a chance to test a little
That's
bit.
what producers are for. No, we're good now. Now.
I'm coming through.
Here's what really fucks me up, you guys, is what fucks me up is when we go from a 2-person podcast to a 3 or a 4-person podcast.
Yeah.
There's always a ball I drop somewhere in there making sure everything's working.
You've had 3 guests on before?
I've had fucking 4.
At one time?
Yeah.
So that's like 5 people?
Yeah.
That's
No, 3. You're right.
Okay.
So I was 4.
Yeah, that's a lot of guests.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's chaos. I don't do those very often. But they're fun, man. You get the right group of people in here. You have a couple drinks. It's fucking blast, dude.
Hell yeah.
Well, Jared, thanks for doing this, man. Not a lot of people are putting things together like what you do.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for saying that.
buddy.
It's a lot
Again,
of work.
for real.
You know, you're putting a lot of time into this and giving everybody in the Minneapolis scene kind of like their own little podcast guy.
Thanks, man.
who
I
does
appreciate
quite
it.
a bit. So I appreciate it.
Seems like it's working a little bit. I wish it would have blown up a lot faster, but it seems That doesn't really seem to work with my life.
Yeah.
My life is a very slow and steady burn that I don't have a lot of patience for.
The people that are listening don't care if they're the only ones. They enjoy listening. So I don't think you have to worry about how many people are listening, just as long as that one person likes it. Although it would be great if a lot more, but still.
So, Jeremy, let's start off with this, man. Where the fuck did you get the wild hair up your ass to decide to write an entire album of music, quite literally out of nowhere?
Oh, I sobered up. Found myself in a pretty dark place, drinking way too much, and not kind of created a lot of problems in my personal life, and I decided to sober the hell up. It never really jived with what I was doing anyways. I've always been, I'm so used to being the sober guy who was always driving around as drunk friends. I'm into cars, and that kind of didn't jive with it well because I couldn't ever really go for a drive on a weekend. I'm into taking care of my body, and it didn't jive with that either. Just none of it made sense, right? And I reached a point where I thought, like, do I want that anymore? Do I want to sit there and be drunk all the time, like not even remembering things correctly? It was just time to grow up, right? Once I did, all of a sudden, all the neurons began reconnecting in my mind, and I was hit with just a wave of creativity. I decided to explore a lot of those dark places that I came from, but to kind of bring it forward and like look at the mistakes you made, but also see that optimistic ability going forward with a lot of introspection. Lyrics are different in this than they have been in different or other projects that we did as well too. They're less abstract and they're more personal.
It did seem like your old shit was very philosophical. Yeah. Like you kind of had like and I liked it. I'm not criticizing it, but it seemed like you had like let's take Wither the Tide, the New Chemical, right? Like you had a concept and a philosophy, and then you wrote an album around that.
Yeah.
And it was very abstract, like you said. If I remember right, what you were saying is the New Chemical is the idea of like some version of, well, the way I interpreted what you said was like kind of like cell phones. Like cell phones are the new drug, this technology that's like almost permanently attached to us. Like it's such a thing, it's going to become like literally attached to you at some point in time. Whereas this is more you exploring your feelings and your deepest, darkest part. Like almost like fucking 46 and 2 by Tool. It's about shadow work. It's about doing a bunch of fucking LSD and exploring the self in stages in order to get to figure out who you really are. It seemed like you were doing something more like that instead of like a set out plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say this. And then how do we get there?
Well, there may have been microdosing of things to help heal my mind at the same time.
How about macro dosing, bro?
Yeah, that's more your thing. I like the micro, just a little bit to complement my coffee every now and then. So it really just it got things moving. I mean, I did the whole record and I listened to it, and they were all demos, and I'm like, hey, Wally, give this a listen. He's like, hey, you got something here. So we went in, took a lot of the stuff that I had, and just some of the things we would redo in the studio. Like, I am not a guitar player. This is my first attempt to play guitar on a record and write from guitar. Every project that I've been in, save one, since like 1998 has been synth-based and loop-based. And this one, I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to write from a different place, because I always used to write from guitar, but then it would always quickly transition to synth and loops. And here, I decided that I would just keep it guitar-based and just kind of do that, just kind of let it be a rock band, kind of like what I enjoyed about music to begin with that made me want to start singing, that made me want to start writing. I wanted to write music a little bit more in that vein. So I brought it to Wally, and we just, we worked on it. There did end up being a fair amount of synth on the record, but it doesn't take a front seat. Like, there's a couple songs that were written with it. I have one that I wrote in like 2006 on the record called The Void. That song's been hanging around forever.
Really?
Yeah.
That's almost 20. You said 06?
Yeah.
That's like 20 years ago.
Never used it for any project. It just kind of sat around. So
that's a fucking great song. We play that song a lot during breaks right now, because I don't have any of my old songs loaded up from like my projects and shit. And yours isn't copywritten yet, so I've been fucking manipulating the algorithm, allowing
I got a lot of music that's not copyrighted for you that I've made. That song, I wrote it in 2006, and it's barely changed. The version that you hear today, like all that happened was really it just got a third chorus added. That was kind of the biggest piece of it. So that's the story. Writing the music really did help. It brought me to a better place, and it brought me back to the things that mattered in life. And now I'm, here I am. I feel like myself again, like the person that people thought I was, and who I know I am, like that's who's in front of you now. So and
it's been an interesting journey to watch you go through this too, because like it started off our relationship knowing each other mutually through the scene as fellow frontmen. We played a rigged battle of the bands together that
best kind
that you were supposed to win, but we crushed so hard and got so many of the votes, we were too big to rig, almost like Trump the other night. So they literally, like, Bill Berry was like, Dying Euphoria, like, overwhelmingly won, and Chad was like, no, we won. This is predetermined, and he's like, dude, we got it.
Oh, and that's
you
when
guys have to tie.
Well,
you
that's
remember this?
I thought we had to fight.
I wanted to fight.
Yeah.
You wanted to fight.
I wanted to fight
yeah.
too.
And I was like, I'll be our warrior. And Jeremy's like, I'll be our champion. But no, there was never going to be any fighting. Yeah, they made us split everything. And that was just so Bill Berry could save face. It's some casino up north.
Okay.
It was an interesting show, though, because that's also when Rich reunited with Wally for the first time after years. Because Skywine, they had a 2-day battle of the band, Rock Day and Metal Day.
That was kind of around then, but that was a.
It was at that show
that they spent time together. I know they first ran into each other in like Iowa. When
maybe sure.
Some place in Iowa, but yeah, you're right. There was a rock show that next day, and I think that might have been when they actually.
It was Skywine, Ginger Jake. Yep.
Yeah. So you're right about that. It wasn't the first time they spoke again, but I think you're right about
that.
Yeah. It's the first time they spent actual time together.
But point being is like. You and I go way back, but it wasn't like you and I were writing music together. We didn't have that kind of friendship.
No.
We
had a different one, but it wasn't creative.
I originally approached you because I had a project that I was trying to get off the ground, and I was really struggling with it, Matt. Like, I could not get this fucking thing off the ground because I couldn't find the right singer. And Jeremy's voice is not what I had in my head. But he's really talented. I've always respected him as a vocalist and as a songwriter. So he was like, send it to me. I was like, fuck it, fine. So I sent him one track, and what he sent back as his version of a demo, I was like, dude, this is a done song. So we made a hi-fi demo of it. Have I played you any of that shit, dude? I should have played you some of that before. I should have played that before we started the podcast, because we're not going to play any of that tonight. We'll just play Jeremy shit tonight. But
you let him hear some after.
But it was really good, and I was really impressed. And then we created a hi-fi demo of it, and it was like, all right, let's fucking try to actually do this. Problem is I couldn't find a drummer. Right. And so if the listeners are confused, I'm a bit loud. Okay, hold on.
That's kind of in person, too. He is louder than most people.
You know what? Fuck you guys, man. Everybody was telling me I was too quiet, so I fucking tried to soften. Now tried to fucking get louder. Now I'm too fucking loud.
I like that you're loud. I never
it's like I got more wives. I can never do anything right with you guys. No, I'm kidding. I love you. But my point is, ironically, I couldn't find a drummer, which for the listeners might find that confusing because I play drums. Yes, and I am writing the drums for this project, but I don't want to play drums live. I want to play guitar live. And I haven't been able to find the right guy. Until recently, now suddenly I have two. Like, I literally have two drummers for this band, so in case one can't make it, I've got another guy. I've got two guys. So I went from having a fucking drummer problem to a drummer surplus. And no, I won't loan any of them out. I'm being greedy with it. But one thing I wanted to ask is how you guys hooked up back in, was it Wither the Tide, or were you already in Skywine? Like, how did you end up meeting up with
Crash Anthem, right?
How did you end up meeting with Jeremy here originally?
It would have been through all of that, through Rich with Crash Anthem and Skywine when I was playing with those guys.
Yeah, Sean Hill had left because he had kind of lost his fire to play music for a while,
and I was trying to, man, I might have a really hard time trying to remember.
This is a long time ago.
Yeah, well, not too long. We're in our early 20s, so no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, so yeah, it was.
I've been 29 for 6 years.
Skywine, Crash Anthem for a bit. When Brian had taken a long leave, or whatever was happening, and so I'd gotten to know Rich, and then I think I'd always been a fan of Buried by Hope since I'd been introduced, I think, through Wally and then Rich, and then I think that's how that happened, essentially, is...
Yeah. Like, and Buried by Hope is where I met Rich from.
Yeah.
So then...
well, and Rich came into Buried by Hope because Buried by Hope, before you joined on vocals, had a different drummer. And I think I remember. I know exactly the dudes.
Buried by Hope went through 3 drummers, with Rich being the final.
Yeah, and I remember the dude who was there. So Buried by Hope technically started with Al Bourne from Banehinge, but him and John both left, and then some other dude joined. I remember his face, can't remember his name.
Matt.
And then I think you are right. I think it was Matt. And then Rich came in because Chad knew him through the scene, through
I think Chad knew
maybe
Angel.
Wally.
I think Chad knew Angel or something like that. You'd probably have to have Rich to get that right on.
And I'm sure Rich has explained this.
Yeah.
My memory's just shit for this stuff, but
Yeah. So then he hooked up with Buried by Hope. You know, I went off after we lost Bob, that band kind of stopped.
makes sense.
Yeah. Then I went on to pick up my side project thing that I've been doing. And we carried that for a while with my friend John and Sean Hill. And after a little bit, John, he had some stuff going on in his personal life that he couldn't maintain the schedule anymore. And we had booked a show, like we were set to open for Filter, and I no longer had a drummer. So I was like, so I reached out to Rich. He had like 3 weeks to learn the songs or something like that, and he just pedal to the metal, figured it all out, and we played the show, and he stuck around.
I still love that New Chemical record. Like, that New Chemical record is on my list of albums.
There's
that
so
like
many songs I loved on that.
once a year, twice a year, like that record just has to be played from front to back. There's not a lot of artists out there that make records like that, where it's like, no, you just play the record, and it's such a good record, it should be done once or twice a year.
I wish you would have been there earlier too. When Sean
Yeah,
was there
me
at the same
too.
time.
I know I had such a good time anytime when we were doing Withered and we started to integrate some of the Chemical songs.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, because I was already such a fan of that record and those songs. So, you know, when we started doing a few more of them, I was always yelling at Rich, let's do Pachyderm. Let's do Pachyderm.
Yeah, those songs were written differently.
Pachyderm.
They're written with a different design philosophy.
Yeah, everything's a different
Show Red.
gusto.
Show Red, the fucking end of that song is so. And the feels like the red has
I think we had a slight
won
evolution of that, didn't we?
again.
We did. We still did play a lot of those songs and work on them going
Yeah.
forward. So that record is kind of interesting. I think only one song had bass on it. The rest of it was all synth bass that I wrote.
Oh, you mean like bass guitar?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there was synth bass through the whole thing. Save one song. It might have been Show Red, I think, that had Wally perform bass on it. It was one of the first records that Wally recorded also, way back in the day. Then, you know, we get through all With the Tide. Like, I took a hiatus in, like, 2016 or 17 when my kid was born. Then I went to go work with a few friends on some other stuff, which no one's ever heard the songs that we did. They never came, like, no one's ever heard them. I've still got them. So, Maddie and Rich, meanwhile, had continued working on the With the Tide stuff. And then they were like, come on back, dude, come on back. So I'm like, oh, all right. I came back and I heard it. I was like, wow, you guys, like, they sounded really good, really good. Then we brought in a bassist. You know, we had Bob Ray for a while during the second record for With the Tide. And we brought in a bassist, our friend Reggie, and Adam Cispaniak from Eden came in.
Yeah,
and also
I knew
Tired
Adam from
Thumbs.
Guitar Center. I remember I was at Guitar Center, and I was ringing him up, and he goes, dude, I'm in a band finally, or I'm in a new band, I think he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no shit, huh? I go, who? And he goes, Wither the Tide. And I go, get the fuck out. And he's like, what? And I go, I know those guys, like, personally. Like, those are, like, close friends of mine. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I gotta come. And I, of course, never... I mean, anybody that knows me knows how bad I am about coming out to shows. So, unfortunately, I never got to see him on stage with you guys. But, yeah, he's a sweet kid, man. Didn't he end up also getting a really bad drinking problem and sobering up?
Adam?
Is that the same kid
No,
I'm thinking
that's
of?
not the same guy. No,
Okay,
I
Adam.
can't see Adam going that route.
No, he doesn't.
Then I'm thinking of
He
somebody
probably
else.
hung around
Yeah, that dude's got his head on
me
straight.
too much.
There's somebody I'm mistaking him for
Like
them there,
Noel.
because there was also somebody, that same type of kid, same personality. They even kind of look alike. Somebody that I knew from Guitar Center that
Yeah.
ended up with a really bad drinking problem, and then sobered up. He's got his life together and shit. He's
So-
doing really well.
Parallel to all that, you know, you and I had always stayed in touch. We used to hang out quite a bit back in the Buried by Hope days, and then stayed in touch through With the Tide and everything. All of that, like,
Yeah, it was like a weird mutual respect thing, because we never like hung out, but
Yeah.
we would talk.
Yep, yeah,
like,
we did pretty
randomly.
frequently.
but
Yeah.
pretty frequently.
And in-depth, longer conversations. So it kind of, when you started your podcast, I'm like, yeah, this dude will talk for hours. So this is actually kind of a normal thing for him. Not in a bad way either.
It suits me.
Yeah, you do well. You
And
keep the
if you, I
conversation
don't know if
going.
you've noticed, it also shortens my conversations with people in regular life. You haven't really experienced this because you don't really know that part of me yet. But like back in the day, I wouldn't talk to you guys for 6 months at a time. So we'd have 2-hour phone conversations. Well, now I have you over once or twice a year for a 2-3 hour podcast. So now when I talk to you on the phone, it's like 8 minutes. Like, hey man, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I'm having a party. Cool. You want me to come over? Yeah, bring some fucking jalapeno poppers. Cool. I'll see you then. Bye. Like, it completely changed the dynamic. So I think it made me more tolerable in regular day-to-day life as well.
So that's going on. You and I are staying in touch. 2020 comes along, and all the members of Wither the Tide collectively lose their mind and fall apart. And we just we pieced out on that band. It had run its course. We had
What was the official ending of that? Did it just kind of like
we
run
played
out
a
of
show
gas?
And I was just done. We were just done. I came in and fired everyone, including myself. So it was just time to be done. We released a record that was really good, and not many people ever heard it. It probably was our best record that we ever did in that project. It kind of took a lot of the stuff that people enjoyed on Chemical, because I do realize that, the new Chemical came out. It's this awesome kind of industrial metal hard rock album. And then Lunar Phase comes out, and it's this experimental electro rock, sort of almost like new wave in a lot of ways.
Yeah, didn't seem to fit.
No, I completely changed the sound. The songs
Didn't
are
you
really
also
good.
change the spelling of the name?
No, that
of
was
the
the
band?
third
Okay,
record.
okay.
We dropped the we dropped the extra H. That's probably why people haven't heard it, because to find it on Spotify and everywhere else, it comes up as Wither the Tide, Wither instead of Whither.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'll one day go on and re-release it under the normal name so people can find it again, so that legacy track can stay around. We get to there. We're all having problems in our life, and we stopped. And then, Maddie and I talked every now and then. Between that, I talked to Rich after a while again too. You got that relationship rekindled for us, actually.
Yeah, that was what was super interesting. So, and I wanted to ask you about this. So, I wasn't exactly in top form, and that's a pretty subtle way to say it. I'm just going to be honest. I fucking sucked at drums. But for some reason, out of all the people in your life to play drums in this project, you hit me up. You recruited me. You were like, I want you to be the drummer. Why? I wasn't exactly doing good work on that instrument at that time. I was way more focused on guitar.
I don't know. I believed you could do it. And
Yeah, but why? That doesn't make any sense. I don't, and I'm not trying to talk shit about myself or be negative. It's a little confusing. Like, because again, I was putting in way more work on guitar. Like, if anything, and I also told you no. I was like, I don't want to play drums in a band. Like, I want to play guitar in a band. So if you're gonna have me do this with you, like, I want to do it on guitar. Well, and you reluctantly accepted, but
yeah, it's because I didn't think you could play guitar. Not not in that way, but I didn't really know you were a guitar player, but I knew you were a drummer and I knew you were a vocalist. And you can't be the singer in my project.
Bro literally had already sung on a song that I had written all the guitar riffs for. Like, that is, dude, you
Sounds
just
about
made
right.
that up, bro.
Yeah, but the thing is, you now play songs that I played all the guitar on, and I'm no guitar player, right? Like, I do not play guitar live. So I thought it was something like that, where you're just doing it in the studio, like how I recorded all the demos and everything with me on guitar. Sounds good, but it took me 500 tries to get it.
Okay.
And then I ended up having to cut and paste the parts that worked. So I thought it was something more along those lines.
I'll buy it.
But I knew in a live situation.
I'm buying it at a discount, but
Yeah.
I'll buy it. I'll still buy your painting.
I knew in a live situation, because of your previous work in the Tyrants, you could drum.
Okay, fair
right?
enough. Fair enough.
So that was my
That
first
actually does make sense then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
So
mean,
it was based on the Tyrants. It's based on what I had done in the past, not necessarily what I had been doing at the time.
right.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted you to come and drum for us.
Well, at least fucking somebody saw that band live. Fuck, dude. We were good. The Tyrants were actually a great fucking band. Probably the best. You know how they measure fighters, like pound for pound?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you measure bands show for show, that was the best band I was ever in. Like, how long it lasted, how much work we actually put in. Like, you measure any band I was ever in their fourth show that they were as a band, the Tyrants were the best fourth show band I was ever in. Eighth show band, same thing. Like, there was just something really special about that band, which you guys can elaborate on this, how you feel about this. That was the most infuriating band I was ever in, because it was my favorite band I was in. So when it went south, it really hurt. it really bothered me. It kind of fucked me up. It kind of messed with my ego in an ironic way. So it wasn't like the Jared Lee Roth humbling kind of fucking with my ego. It was like, this really mattered to me, and no matter how much I tried, I couldn't get the group to stay together. And one thing that fucked me up in that, and without getting too specific, because I don't want you guys to fucking open any wounds that you're not ready to, but like, what fucked me up was John in that band was convinced that 100% of the band's problems were between him and I, and him and I had some problems. But the reason the band broke up was because of him and the bass player. But no matter how many times we all talked about that as a group, he just lived in his own world and refused to admit he had any problems with Kevin. So no matter how much him and I worked on shit, the band was still breaking up because this dude didn't like that dude. You know what I mean? And there was nothing I could do to get us to come together as brothers and keep the fucking mission moving forward.
Yeah.
And everybody just kind of gave up at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't even one big event. It was just kind of like everybody couldn't get along anymore, and they just kind of, and it was heartbreaking for me. It really bothered me a lot, more than any other breakup.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. They were good. That band was pretty decent. You were doing well. I remember seeing you doing really well with it. Your band before that,
We dropped.
Was it Solace and Ashes?
It was Dying Euphoria.
Dying
before,
Euphoria.
yeah.
I get the name mixed up. That was a while back. You were in that, and you were very different. So when you were drumming in that, I was surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I asked you to drum, was because of what I knew you did there. And yeah, I knew you play guitar, but I didn't know if you were a live guitar player, because I play guitar, but
Fair
I'm
enough.
not a live guitar player.
Well, and technically I'm still not to this day. I've actually ironically never played guitar live on stage. Not in a real situation, like high school talent shows I had, but not like in what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the next thing, is how you came in back into the fold with this. So I want to just kind of quickly rehash. You were in Crash Anthem, and that's how you ended up in Wither back in the day?
Yep.
Through Wally, I assume, then?
Through Wally and Rich, and just, I mean, that, yeah, I'm assuming that's pretty much what it was. And then
Did Crash Anthem break up, or were you looking for an extra band, or what?
No.
Crash Anthem was kind of Skyline, but also kind of not.
Yeah.
No, it is Skywine, just with a different name, basically.
Yeah. It was. I always thought it was a little different than Skyline. It was
Yeah,
very
I'm
similar,
sure it
but-
is, and
yeah.
I'm oversimplifying. I'm just
I guess
saying,
Wally
for the
could
sake
tell us
of
correctly if it was just how he was writing at the time, or if
for
it
the
was
sake
meant
of
to be a different
simplicity, though, it's Skywind with a different name.
thing. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point, man, it's hard for me to really maybe talk about one thing without another, but in a quick nutshell, I had just been looking for something kind of coming out of high school. As a musician, wasn't really sure what I was doing and where I fit, and a friend of mine at the time was actually running shows, kind of as like showrunner tech, Corey Carlson.
Oh yeah.
For those guys. So he was kind of like, hey, their main guitar player's like out taking a break for a little bit.
Crash
or
Anthem?
whatever. Yeah.
So is that Bryan
was
Adams?
Bryan Adams, and then so through that, that's kind of how I, all right, well, I'll come over, I'll play a few songs, and then so I ended up ultimately joining up and playing with those guys for several years through different iterations, and mostly a lot of it was Crash Anthem, and then Wally had revisited and brought back some Skywine stuff and things like that. But then at that point it had been I don't know, several years or something like that, and I had been playing, and I met people and made friends, and then so Wither the Tide kind of happened, and I think I was just I was throwing myself into music. So I was a recovering alcoholic right now, and 18 months sober.
Congrats.
And so,
Yeah, congratulations,
thanks,
Matty.
man. A lot of that I didn't realize what I was really doing until I quit drinking and really focused. But that's just a whole nother book, right?
Yeah, we'll do a whole
So I was
podcast on that.
throwing
Recovering
myself-
alcoholics.
I was
Yeah,
throwing
I'll be
myself
there.
not only down the bottle because it was taking away the way I'd felt from a very young age, and it was the one thing that I found that could do that, and I could function okay, right?
Yeah.
Until I couldn't 20 years later. But I also did the same thing with music, with kind of not realizing it, and I was playing in as many bands as I could, and I was doing guitar teching, I was road teching, I was just doing anything I could to be a part of anything. So I ended up being part of several projects at one time, one of which was Wither the Tide, and then Crash Anthem, and then with Andy Ryerson and Arson River. Tim,
Oh yeah, I remember you running
and
that project.
Arrows at Dawn.
Yeah, Arrows at Dawn,
Tim and
Arson
those
River.
guys, and
Andy R. He was a pretty good songwriter.
fucking
What's he
amazing
doing
dude.
these days?
Amazing songwriter. He's I think everyone's just on a path of recouping and discovering and figure stuff out again. I know he's playing. I know he's writing and recording and hanging with people, and I keep meaning to go out to see him and all that shit. He's out in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's like everyone
What's
who's still
his
doing
name
it.
again?
All,
Andy Ryerson.
I fucking know that name
Mm-hmm.
from somewhere.
he was in Arson River with Maddie, and he's been in a couple things too. Like,
Well,
there's a couple
Arson
other things
River is
he's done.
apparently doing a thing again.
I'm sure. I mean,
I
like,
think they're
it's been
coming back. I
Andy's
think
project.
I
He's
think
a
Kyle Glidden is going to
singer-songwriter.
play bass for them.
It's like singer-songwriter, and basically, like, he had just been wanting another guitar player, too. Like I said, I was just trying to do as many things as I could, trying to run away from a lot of stuff, not really realizing that's what was up. But, yeah, man.
I think Glidden's playing for Arson River, like, now.
I wouldn't be surprised. Those guys are, like, great friends. They played together in bands throughout high school and stuff like that. You know, Kyle and Andy and stuff like that.
You know Glidden?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One
He's
really
been on
cool
the
trait
podcast
that you
a few
have is that, when I've looked for guitar players, what I've often run into, and maybe you've run into this too, Jared, is that a lot of people
With guitar players or
with
musicians
guitar
in
players,
general?
maybe musicians in general, but my
Okay.
experiences of late have been with guitar players where they don't want to join a project. They all want to start their own project and be the key songwriter, the primary songwriter. And it's so hard to find somebody at your skill level that's like, hey, you've got something good, I'm going to make it even better.
I think that's
Like,
a problem in this town.
It could be. Like, the one time, like,
Because if
granted,
you're in
I've-
Nashville, this is
I
not
don't
an
know.
issue.
Does, like, ego come into play, do you think,
Yes.
maybe? Because
maybe.
Yes, it's
like,
definitely
I
ego.
mean, you had mentioned it in a way because I know we've obviously talked, and the record's got 2 guitars on it, and there's been an evolution of stuff, which we'll get to kind of showcase at the show come Saturday of, like, how it is kind of, but... And you had just mentioned that some people are like, oh, it's just I can't do other people's songs. It's too simple, blah, 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 blah. And I remember my kind of comment was just finding that very odd, that
is strange.
I can't imagine having that perspective. So I was like, no,
And that's
I don't know.
super
That's
interesting because
weird.
you're better than not all, but several of the guitar players that have said that. And so for somebody at your skill level to think what they're saying is preposterous really says a lot about what they're saying as preposterous,
Yeah.
because it is an absurd thing to
It
say.
perplexed me a little bit. I guess I'd never once had that thought as like a barrier between me and what I might do or how I play my instrument. or
Are you a
anything like
big
that.
time songwriting guy?
I am.
Yeah,
but
you've shared
So
some
you
of your
write a
demos.
lot
you write
of
some good
songs.
stuff
I
too.
write a lot. I'm just it's very personable and kind of like writing is sort of like journaling, sitting down and riffing or playing. And I'm not much of a whole songwriter. I think sometimes I end up having what I really like. It just comes up with something comes naturally when I sit down to play because it's a holistic way of me.
Like a riff or a group
Yep.
of
I
riffs
just
or a
sit down
foundation
and I
or
play,
something?
man, I've always played from feeling because I'm a very emotional person, intensely emotional, and so that always comes first. And so it's really easy to sit down and like people might journal. My way of journaling is just picking up my guitar and just riffing and playing, and I find something that hits or is kind of like resonating with how I'm feeling or thinking in that moment, and then I'll maybe begin a process of like, oh, I think it fits with this other part. And then if I'm with people or projects and I'm feeling good enough about it, I might kind of throw it out there and be like, what do you guys think about this? And then that's when everybody bounces ideas, and it becomes something. But so I just don't really share it a whole lot,
Yeah,
I think I got one song on Ryerson's on the Arson River record that's officially out.
Really?
That we co-wrote. Yep.
No
the rest
shit.
I just showed up and tracked and jammed and hung out. And I've always been the type of player that I'm still going to kind of play the way that I play, and I've never once been asked to do something exactly how something was. So I've kind of, I guess, taken leeways, and that's how you are as musicians, where we have our personalities within our instruments and whatever instruments that might be.
Didn't you write "Wake It Up" for "Wither the Tide"?
Yeah, and then
So
I was gonna say, and then I wrote "Wake
There's
It
only
Up."
two
with-
songs not written by me that "Wither the Tide" released, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
So he certainly can write, and that song was really good. It does confuse me too because in "Buried by Hope," I didn't write any of that. I wrote none of it, and that band did great. I was just like,
Well,
yeah.
you wrote all the vocals. You
Oh,
wrote all
yeah,
the,
I wrote-
but you didn't write the music, is what you mean?
No, I
The
didn't.
songs.
Yeah.
Chad and Jason wrote most of that.
Right.
I think Rich has a lot of input. He's kind of like me when it comes to that. It's like you write all the riffs. I'll kind of help put the song together, and like especially when it comes to, hey, let's do this in this part to really like add some dynamics.
Yeah.
I call that the Lars Ulrich effect.
I kind of have.
And I think Rich draws from that same exact creative
Yeah.
inspiration too.
Yeah. We're similar like that too. I think.
It works in a dynamic because, and I would never put my drumming skills on the same tier of your guitar skills, but I do think our personalities are the same, where if we are primary songwriters, we can be, but if we're not, we also don't have to be.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, when we're playing a song, I don't care who wrote it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. I just want good songs, and
that's funny.
I'm going to bring some to the table.
If
you want to bring good songs to the table, do it.
I was in a band once. I'm not going to tell the name of the band. It wasn't a band where I was the primary songwriter. I was just a guy in the band. But I wrote a whole song, and it was a fucking banger, right? I was just at home, rocking guitar, wrote the whole song, then accidentally wrote all the lyrics, right? I even had most of the drum parts figured out. Me and the drummer basically wrote everything, like finalized everything. Then we kind of showed it to the band. The band played it together. It fucking rocked, and the band dropped it because, quote, "We don't want this to turn into the Jared Singer project." And I was like, okay. It really hurt my feelings because it was like, that is not where my ego was going with this. I was just like, I have something to contribute beyond just whatever. You know what I mean?
When a listener hears a song, they don't usually think the first thing, who wrote this? Maybe if they're
really
really into the
bothered
band
me.
and really into the project, they might want to know, who wrote this one? Or if they read the liner notes. Most of the songs I like that I listen to, I don't know who wrote them. I just know they're good.
When you get down into specifics, it's really kind of tough, because like if sitting back, think about it with Arrows at Dawn and Tim Andrews and those guys, like when we did the album Pieces, a good chunk of those came from my riffs into riff and chorus, or chorus and riff, or whatever, right? Like I didn't have one complete bookended song all the way through, but but when you hear it, you hear a totality of everybody. And so that's why I think, like, because there's such a composition of things. There's singing, songwriting, lyrics. There's the music part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's so
just,
many pieces.
Who cares?
Yeah. As long as when you put it all together, it sounds good. It doesn't matter who it came from.
So let's take everything we've kind of been, adding to this stew, right? And let's kind of like now focus that on this project, right? Because it's been really easy for me as not the guy who writes this music to step in and play these drums. A lot of drummers don't have the ability to, if they're a songwriter, if they're the man, right? They don't have the ability to put on the jobber hat. And that's what I'm really good at, which is mimicking styles. So I may not be the best drummer. I'm like a C+ or a B- drummer, but I can do all of the styles at that level, which is a competent, like, live professional performance level. As long as I put my rehearsals in and I get my work in, like, I can do a fucking shuffle, I can do blues, we can do country, we can do metal shittily. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting because it was easy for me to make that transition. And ego-wise, I think a lot of people would be surprised if they know me. It was really easy for me to not be the man because I don't need to be. Part of the reason is something I've preached on this podcast, because I have a solo project where I am the man, right? I get to write all the songs. I get to make all the calls. So I don't need that, right? But at the same time, it's kind of a relief. Like, there's no pressure. I just have to show up and do my job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I still work with Chad. He and I still do songs every now and then.
Even though he was the main guy in that thing.
Yeah, like he'll send me one and say, "Hey, Jared, put some vocals on it," and I do, right?
Yep.
He does a bunch of commercial stuff. So every now and then I'll do a song for his commercial project and just.
And
put
you
it
do
on.
that with me too. Like, I write everything in my band and then in my project, and all you do is your vocals. I give you 100% creative control. I'll tell you if I don't like something, but
yeah, even if you
I don't
didn't,
go in and tell you how to write it.
Yeah,
You
I
know
like
what
singing.
mean?
I like music, and if a song is good, I'm gonna try to complement it the best I can with my voice. And if you have something you want written for it, I'll do it. I'll go.
And
for
one thing, going back to what you said when you and I had that conversation about the guys saying, "Oh, it's too simple or it's boring or whatever." Something you said I found very interesting, which is something I noticed right away when I tried to play the guitars. It's really easy to overplay this music.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as you do, it sounds like shit.
Super easy.
It's not metal or most rock where you
guys
can like
say this,
throw
and I
in some extra
struggled
shit.
so much to do
No,
those
it's not about that though. No. I know what you mean.
I'm going to let him
here's
explain it.
All right, so here's the thing. To touch on that, one, you did an amazing job, and I think that's something that people that typically, like you said, you proclaim to yourself, "I'm not." You talking about you're not a guitar player, right? But it took that to get those riffs out of there. It couldn't be written with a guitar player. So
Right, a guitar player would have done too much.
There's just something that you have that you're removed from it enough that makes it really great and really wonderful. Now, going back to kind of the comment that I think I'd said to you about that was, I would encourage anyone and almost argue towards them if they think it's too simple, they don't want to play it. It's actually not. It's very difficult to play something simple well because you're going to hear every misarticulation, every missed note on the simpler it is.
Yep.
That's not going to be muddled up by dexterity and muddled with tons of notes and bends and stuff like that. So and if your time is off just a little bit, if you're not grooving, when we're in senescence and we're at the end and it's driving, if one of us is off just a little bit, if I'm playing a little ahead of it or a little behind it or I'm accenting a little too hard, it's going to stick out. And I think that the difficulty lies
and it does
that.
when we don't, and Rich said this last night at rehearsal, when we don't hit that intro, if we're just a little sloppy coming out of that fucking build to come in together, when you come in, your vocals don't fuck it up, but if him and I specifically, because the bass is fine, the bass always comes in on the one, but if I don't really listen to you and if you can't hear that hi-hat keeping count, we don't come in together and it just sounds just a little off. Yeah, and that's such a simple part. It's fucking, what is that, 16th notes?
Right.
Dun, 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 dun,
it's a
dun,
different
you know
part
what
of
I mean?
being a
It's
musician to really
it's
be
not
able
hard
to
to
stay
find
in
the
that
one. But god damn it, because it's so simple,
But
if it's
to
not
keep it
perfectly
pulled
on
back,
one.
to keep the emotion even keeled, to let it build and to do that
You're
on
right, dude.
every note, it's a difficult thing to do, I think. And so I almost would say, I almost kind of scoff at the opposite side of that like it's not to have the mindset that it's too simple, it's boring, I don't want to play it. I think it's the opposite. I think if you want to play it well and you want to play it correctly, it's a difficult thing.
And if you want it to
and it
sound
really
good.
requires restraint
Right.
and knowing, having like, I don't know.
When you put it all together, you take all these pieces, and although individually one part may not be overly complex, but when you put it together, it can form a really interesting composition with many different moving parts. And that's how I write songs, right? Like occasionally I would throw in like my attempts at a lead, which Wally improved a couple of them. One of them was so messy when I brought it to him. He redid the guitar on that one, and it sounded so much better. It was kind of interesting to hear how he did that, and really he could hear through my.
What
my
can we
sloppy
ask? What
performances.
song that was you're talking about?
Yeah, it was on Barrier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the lead on Barrier.
Okay.
That was a challenge for me to get together, and I brought it to Wally in stem form. I knew my guitar part was not performed well enough, so he was gracious enough to redo all of that. So, yeah, it came out really well. So that, and again, that's not an overly complex part, right? But it's more with I tend to look at more of the melody and how things move around when I put things in than simply how many notes are you fitting into this measure? How much are you moving?
Yeah.
Not to say that isn't good, because certainly some songs can be incredible with so much movement, so many things going on in a smaller time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, when I wrote these songs, that's not what I heard. I heard what you hear now. That's what stood out to me. And I write a song for the song.
And the songs we have are not the final mixes, but they're very close, and they're good enough to play publicly. So
Yeah, we'll start.
if you guys follow, which, by the way, do you have all the shit lined up? Is there the Montoya Machine Facebook yet? Is all of that ready to go?
That's all coming in December. So
Okay.
that's all going to be out in December, and we'll start releasing the bulk of our music will come late December to January. So, we'll start getting
basically,
one song
right
out or so.
now, the easiest way to follow or keep updates is actually, ironically, probably to follow me then, right?
Yeah, I would say you'd be.
So
the one to
right
follow
now
for-
would be follow
for that
Jared
for the
Singer
moment.
live on whatever platform you're on. And yeah, I don't do a lot of music promotions on those things, but sadly, that's still going to be the best way for you to follow this right now until December when you launch all that shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I do have all the domains. I got that all lined up. I've actually put a few things together. I just haven't launched it, so it'll come along. We'll have that all out. But right now, I want to get everything together. We have a really good set. We've got a great collection of songs. We've got a full record recorded and ready to go. Little bit left to do on it, and we can get it out there. So,
We're
that,
playing in 2 days at the Skyway Theater. I'm genuinely nervous, which I don't think I've been nervous for any live music performance since I've been, I don't know, maybe my first time on drums. Maybe. just because it was my first time on drums.
Yeah.
And the only reason is just because it's been so long. It's not about anything else other than the fact that, wow, it's been a long time since I played a live show on drums. Like, I've talked a lot of shit on this podcast about a lot of bands not like this band sucks. That's not what I'm saying. But like, I see bands doing things the wrong way, and I'll be like, "That's not how you do it." And I don't call people out, but I'm pretty preachy about it.
Well, there's going to be people who looks at us and think this band sucks.
Which I'm okay with that because that's subjective, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the process of how to. And I know for a fact I'm going to forget something because it's been so long, and it's gonna there's going to be a couple moments where I'm going to look like an amateur because I'm going to be like, "Oh fuck, I forgot. Yeah, that's right. Don't do that." Like when my old buddy. Same thing. It had been 15 years since he'd done anything. We hook up the fucking the guitar rig. He starts playing, and within 30 seconds, he steps on the cable and rips it out of his guitar. And I start laughing, and I go, "Put it through your guitar strap." And he goes, "Oh, that's right." And so it goes through his guitar strap, and then that's exactly what I'm talking about from a drumming perspective. And I know I'm gonna have at least 2 of them because it's been almost 15 years, dude.
Wow, what?
Yeah, 10 for sure,
Wow.
almost 15, yeah. Because
I
I was in my
realize.
mid-20s, I think 26, 27. Yeah, so somewhere between 10 and 15 years since I
Wow.
played live drums.
Maybe 4 or 5 for me.
In an original band, I should say. Sorry. Because I
Last
did
Wither
jobber
show.
shit all the way through
Yeah,
like 30.
2020. And one thing I never really asked
Did you
about,
ever do cover shit?
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
Because I was living in Stillwater for a time, and I was playing with a couple of folks that were doing like session gigs throughout.
Down at
some
like
of
the Freight House or
Yep,
something?
yep.
That's a cool
Brianna
place.
Tag, Clifton Wales, and then a couple other folks
Sweet.
for a little bit of time. Yeah, I was really burning. Brother, I wasn't burning the candle at both ends. I was a motherfucking melting pot for a decade.
You were having fucking fondue made in you?
Bro. I look back on it. I mean, I sleep like 2 or 3 hours a night. And I was working where I work now and living downtown Stillwater, brother.
I like Stillwater. The wife and I just
Stillwater
went
to
there,
Plymouth is a
just went there on
long
date,
drive.
Like 2 weeks ago. Went for a day trip down there. And
So, anyway,
Then went
sorry
to Taylor's Falls.
digress and get off topic. But
No,
you were
you're
about
fine,
to
dude.
ask me.
Dude, it's a long-form podcast. We're going to
Yeah.
get off topic. That's part of the
and that
vibe.
kind of brings it. So after Wither the Tide stopped, he started throwing me demos. That's
For
kind
my
of-
project.
Yeah,
yep,
and
yep.
then after I put down stuff on it, did some work on that, and then I gave Wally my stuff. I let Jared hear one of the demos after Wally said he liked it. I'm like, "Hey, dude, what do you think?" And he's like,
Nice.
"Oh, it's a song." Like he wasn't.
But I've been
thrilled
very
about it.
honest about this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
not good at seeing Jeremy's vision that
Sure.
early in the process because he originally asked me back then. He goes, "I want you to do drums on this." So he
And
played
when
me
was
the demo.
this then? Was
2
that like
years
right around-
ago?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
No,
it was
this
like,
was a long time ago.
December
Well-
22. Like it was around 2 years ago now. When I
Yeah.
had the
Seems like a
demos.
long time, but in
Feels
scope
like
of
a
the
long
last
time.
show and withered in that history.
Fair.
So this was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, 2 years passed before I did much of
Gotcha.
anything.
And I was just super honest. I was like, honestly, man, this is exactly what I said. I remember we were sitting here. We had just got done with the podcast. He plays the demo for me, and I go, "I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I just don't see the vision. So, like, you're going to have to take this farther down the road in order for me to not fuck it up. Because right now, I would come in and do my own thing.
Sure.
And I've learned that from being in bands with other people. What seems like a shitty idea now can be genuine genius if that person is allowed to realize that idea.
Sure.
If too many cooks get in that kitchen and change that dish, by the time that thing comes to fruition, it's not even fair to judge it whether it was a good idea to begin with because it's not that fucking dude's idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I fucked other people's ideas up because I've done my thing, right? And then they're like, well, here's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, that's so much better. You know what I mean? But I was like, I didn't see that. So when you played that for me, I was like, this is where I'm at. I know me well enough.
So
to
that
like,
song was Sinkhole.
Oh, really?
That first song that I did the demo on was Sinkhole. Do you want to play that one?
and the drums, I did not because I don't like the demo of that.
The demo is it's almost the same.
No, it's not.
It's so much the same.
No,
it's the
it's
same.
not.
It's even the same
Do
guitar.
you think the
tracks.
demo of Sinkhole is
I
anything like what
I
we
haven't
play?
heard the demo of Synchro.
It's
So
the same. It's the same
only-
guitar tracks on.
The only
It's the
demo.
one
I
I
didn't
didn't
even
line
retrack
up.
the guitar on that one.
It's the one I didn't
The
line
only
up.
demo that I listened to is when you gave me Coalesce because you had mentioned.
Oh
Hey,
no,
Maddie.
not demo. Sorry, not
Oh.
demo. He doesn't mean demo. He means like the
Oh.
mixes we
Okay.
have.
You
no,
don't mean-
he has the demo. he has the actual demo.
I have
of
all the
Coalesce,
demos,
which
but-
is very different.
So
but
the
when
ones
you
that-
said demo of Sinkhole,
yeah, I gave you the demo of Sinkhole.
Yeah,
The earlier one.
it's not this. Never
Not-
mind.
So you gave him the first one?
Yeah.
I never listened to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
So
first
the
one,
only one out of the demo is the old, so your original, stuff
original,
that you
yeah.
took to Wally or whatever.
Yep.
The only one of those I listened to was Coalesce because you're like, hey Maddie, I think that little guitar I have in there, would fit. And lo and behold, I love it. I love
yeah,
it.
it
you know.
makes a lot of sense for a live situation.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
Do you want to play Sinkhole? 'Cause
Well,
that's-
this is what I'm trying to say. So
kind of share
the
with people what we
version
got.
of Sinkhole I do have, I don't like because it's got that fucking chorus drum part that we don't play. Our live version of Sinkhole is so different from what's on there. But
to the studio version.
yeah, and so the point is like I didn't even load it up. I loaded like 6 songs up from the record, and I literally looked at that song and I went, "No, because we don't play that version. It's not going to be close enough."
Oh, the demo
to
drums
what we
were
do.
even wackier. The demo drums were even stranger.
It's
So-
it's a cool song now. You guys convinced me. I'm now on Team Sinkhole, but I was very not seeing the
It's
vision
fun
on that
having
one
that
for a
break.
long
We
time.
got that break in there quick.
I
It's fun
think the
having
studio
that.
version's amazing too. I think that song is great.
It's my
So-
least favorite song on your record.
I like it a
Oh, that's
lot.
good.
I know everybody does. So again, this is also one of those things
It
where I've
just
learned.
thrashes.
Yeah,
I've
it
also
does.
learned to just like accept the fact that my taste is not everyone else's taste.
Sure. It'll
Because-
happen every now and then.
Long-winded version is we were in the Tyrants, we wrote this song, and I wanted John to put in a third verse because I thought the song was too short. John's like, nope, it's perfect the way it is. I'm like, fuck, fine. I don't know, 6 months later, a year later, year and a half later, I literally walked up to John. I go, John, you know what, man? You fucking convinced me, dude. This song is perfect exactly the way it is. I'm so glad.
Nice, dude.
I go, I'm so glad you didn't let me put the third verse in there.
I
And
think
he-
we've all been there,
And you
man,
know what he does?
in
He
some
goes,
way.
I'm actually starting to come around to your way of thinking. I think we've switched sides. I
That's
want a third
awesome.
verse in there. And then him and I were like laughing and furious at the same. And we weren't mad at each other. We were mad at ourselves now. But no, it's one of those things where I've learned to just go, okay, everybody else thinks this is a cool song. Clearly, it's a good song.
Well, one thing too that I like
Yeah.
about
Go
it is
with
the
it.
studio
You know what I
version
mean?
is
Instead of just being
different,
a bitch and
right?
fighting it, I learned that a long time ago.
It'll make, if you get to hear our live versions of the songs versus studio, it'll make it a little more interesting.
They are the live versions are a little different,
Right.
to quite a bit different, but none of them are super different.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the songs.
We're still playing the song.
I
just
think we're
playing
doing a
live version
good
of it.
job of this though. Like, because if
yeah.
you see a live band and it's a completely different version, sometimes it sucks.
I think it maybe would have been different too, is because I came at this and I just did everything that was on the record and on the demo, right? And then we kind of started naturally evolving to,
Mhm.
obviously realizing some things weren't translating one to one. And then there's just, I think we all have kind of this idea and the opinion anyway that you've got albums, you got studio songs, and you got live songs.
I'm one
You
who
know?
likes to hear a live
too.
song be
Me
different
too.
than listening to the
Mhm.
record.
I think everything about it's a little bit different, so you have to be
Yeah.
able. So I think being open to the idea of the song having a little bit of a different personality or whatever to it,
Especially the way you play guitar. I love it because every time somebody sees one of our shows, you'll never play Coalesce Apart the exact same way.
right.
I know you already.
yeah.
I don't know you that well, but I know you as a musician.
It's in subtle differences.
Right. But it'll, and same thing with me on drums. I have
Yeah.
never once
Correct.
played Coalesce Apart the exact same way.
Yeah.
So the point is no one will ever come see the same exact show twice from us. And that, I think, is a sign of a good band.
It's why personally, why I always loved going to see live music growing up and as a kid and stuff, because live shows were always different. I always wanted to see what they did live. And then in the same essence, I've always been someone that has been like an improv person. I love improving and just doing shit on the fly. So those kind of combinations make it that kind of when I go out there, part of my emotional release is in the moment using a lot of that history and skill experience of improving and stuff and
Yeah,
jazz and
right.
crazy shit and feeling it, and then in the setting of the environment of a live song with you guys and whoever I'm a part of that makeup with, the energy of it,
Yeah.
doing something, cooking up something a little special.
Yeah,
on the
even
spot, you know?
I've changed things vocally
Yeah.
from the record.
Yeah.
Like I'll throw in a deeper scream or a longer part or like a falsetto part that just isn't there in the record. So.
The only place this has ever bitten me in the ass is there's a very specific live recording of Seal's Kiss from a Rose that I think is vastly superior to every other version
Sure.
of Kiss from a Rose, and
That's a good song.
he'll never do
Just
that
like
again.
nailed it somehow on that one.
Well, he really fucks with that song live
Yeah.
for obvious reasons, right? It came out in 1990, whatever the
Yeah,
fuck,
yeah, yeah.
1992 or 1994, and he's played it a billion times, so he's definitely gotten bored with it. He always plays it with a different live band and a different size live band. Sometimes there's a piano, sometimes there's a string section. So they always tweak it a little bit. He literally plays a different version of the song every single time. And there's this very specific one version where the way they come out of the interlude and they build it up, because they don't even play the same amount of bars or the same exact interlude. They switch it, right? And he does it. He hits this fucking vocal line, and he does this tremolo and then falls perfectly into the third verse. And he does not do it the same way in every other version of that song. So unfortunately, there's a lot of times where I hear that song now and I'm disappointed, where I'm like, because like I know now there's a perfect version of it out there.
Yeah.
But again, my taste isn't everybody else's, and I still am with you guys. I still like hearing a
and I
slightly
don't
different
think-
version
'cause
live.
we're not really talking about like major structural things that are different. It's just it's the nuances. It's obviously just some things.
It's
Subtle
still the
tweaks-
song.
subtle-
It's
Still
still
the
very
song.
much
It's
the
subtle
song.
tweaks, little nuances.
Subtle
not-
tweaks to the structure sometimes too. Yep, because if they don't have like an extra guitar player to play the main riff thing, sometimes they skip that altogether, and they like do it with backing vocals and some ambient shit.
I mean, I would even say sometimes length of song.
Yep.
It's not even a big deal to make it a little bit shorter on some things, for the live.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
this
Or
record,
longer,
too,
or longer.
Exactly.
Where it comes from, a lot of the songs, like Maddie, since you're very familiar with not only knowing my music but
Right,
also
right.
playing it, right?
Yep.
So the other songs were written more with like a lot of my later influences. But this record I wrote with a lot of my earlier stuff that I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like '90s rock, like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Sponge, Stone Temple Pilots, like some of the early 2000s stuff too. Whereas a lot of Wither the Tide stuff was written more with a lot of my like video game music influence and also later stuff, right? And a lot of my more metal influences. This one is written more with a lot of my rock and grunge stuff. So I explored a lot of different things vocally and a lot
I
of
do
different.
remember you saying that I want to create a 90s rock record, and I was like, 90s rock sucks,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, but that's what I did. I enjoyed it. That's what made me want to start
You
singing.
were like, I
right?
want to be like the Cranberries.
No, not like the Cranberries.
90s rock did.
They're good.
Suck, bro.
They're good,
There's
but that's
some
not what I
really
wanted
good
to do.
fucking shit down there, man.
I like their
I
music.
do this. I just fuck with people. I'll bash an entire genre of
Yeah.
fucking music just for the sake of trying to get one of you to.
So this one, like,
Get
when
worked up.
a couple of years ago, my wife got me the vinyl. Like, I never really listened to Alice in Chains much, and she got me the vinyl for Dirt, and I was like, I'm sorry I missed this. This would have been so great to know back then. So I listened to Dirt a whole lot, and I was like, man,
nice.
like hearing how they did their harmonies. It reminded me a little bit of Heart, also with some of the guitar and like stuff that they did strangely, because I knew some Heart from what my wife had me listen to in the past also. And just the way that the vocals stood out to me, how those harmonies worked, and a lot of the different things that were done with guitars and a lot of different melodic shifts that can be done. I learned from that and carried it into these songs as well too. So there's a lot of techniques from a melodic perspective,
Sure.
both vocally and instrumentally, that just weren't shown in the previous stuff we did. So it's different. It's changed, and I really do feel like we produced something that stands completely distinct from anything else that I've done before. Granted, one of the songs is from 2006, so that one maybe has a little more echoes of my previous influences.
And which one is that again?
The Void?
The Void.
Yeah.
And Senescence was also a song that you pulled at the end of, was it Wither the Tide?
That was one we had worked on, but we never completed.
Right.
So it never got done. I had a couple pieces with it, and I had the loops, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bring this across the finish line, knowing what I do now, and finish it up. So I sat down, I wrote a guitar riff, which destroyed my left hand. That like I can't do those repeated hammer-ons, which you pull off, and I'm like, God, I wish I could do that.
Which is funny because it's such a badass riff, but if you're like an actual guitar player, it's such an easy riff.
Yeah.
But like, I think like you said earlier, a quote unquote real guitar player wouldn't have written that riff because it's almost too simple. Maybe Adam from Tool would have written it. Maybe some guitar players would have, but not somebody like me who like writes like metal riffs, right? Like I'm like out here writing like fucking Metallica and Van Halen style riffs. I'm not saying I'm James Hetfield or Eddie Van Halen. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm always trying to do too much. Like trying to be busy, trying to fill space, right?
Yeah.
Like you kind of said, how many notes can you add? I'm actually good at not doing that, but I still do it because I'm still that guy.
I just yawned.
So that one, it's pretty interesting how that came apart. Like none
it's
of that.
Great riff.
The way that song sounds is nothing like what the Wither the Tide stuff had. The Wither the Tide one kind of had it had sort of that man just do 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 do. Do. That's what it had, and it had like a kind of a faster hi-hat beat. It got completely reworked.
I got goosebumps because I now sitting here remember that.
Yeah.
And for the long, as you've mentioned, I've been like, dude, I know now that he mentioned it that he did bring that up at the Tail of Withered, and I don't remember it. And then you just did that, and I have goosebumps right now, dude.
That song.
I remember it.
That song dates back to like I think I wrote that one shortly after.
Fucking wild.
Shortly after Chemical and before Lunar Phase, I started the nascent pieces of it. So,
let's start with that song. Let's play that song. But tell me, so what's this song about? It's what did you say that it's the visible signs of aging?
Senescence is the visible signs of aging. So it's a lot about just, lyrically it was kind of fun because I've worked with all you guys for so long too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about just traveling forward through time and just watching the changes in people. Most oftentimes visibly, but not just that. It can be in their character too. Like you're always the same person, but your character can change, and you can display different aspects of your personality.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's all about the ego and the id. Like a lot changes through that. And this song, the lyrical perspective is just that. When I start out, it's like, the first lyric is, "Don't know if this will ever be over. Speak underneath your breath." And that's more about life, right? And the main hook, 'cause this song doesn't really have a repeating chorus, but it's that part, when it comes for me like it came for you, I don't know what I'll have to do. And that's about looking at older people. Like, how do you deal with aging, and how do you deal with giving up all of these things?
Immortality, yeah.
Right. Which, frankly, my plan is to not, as we're still here finding that fountain of youth in music. So I let that carry me through time. And that's what that song is about lyrically. So, yeah, the lyrics were every one of them is much more personal and much more about my feelings on this project. Whereas other ones, it was more of like philosophical takes on things. This is more about a personal effect on myself.
From a guitar player's perspective, is there anything in this song that sticks out to you other than the badassness of the main verse riff at the beginning?
Yeah, I love the end of it, the climax into the just straight, the droning of it. I just think that's what stands out to me about it. There's something about that I just
like when it goes from the halftime to the upbeat back down to the halftime.
Yep.
Dun 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 dun.
And it's that riff, and that's the thing. It kind of touches back on what I talked about being simplicity being one of the more difficult things to consistently articulate. Don't play on top of it. Don't play behind it. Don't play it too hard. Every single note be exactly the same. And you know what I mean? So it just, obviously that's easy to capture on a record. You can manipulate that pretty quick, fix it post. So, but to do that like live and lock into that live, that's what I said.
Yeah, one of the
that's
things.
What I think that's really attracts me to that song right there.
One of the things I love about the drums on this song is that there's so much room to either fuck off and just dumb it down and play in the pocket, and
this
it
song
still
has
works.
A lot of space.
Yeah,
the song has a lot of space in it.
But there's not a lot of songs as a drummer where you can fuck off and just literally dumb it down and play in the pocket, and it still works and still kind of slaps. And if you really want to, you can kind of jazz it up a little bit, throw an extra fill in here, do a little double bass that's normally not there, like even just syncopating with the verse riff. Like there's so many things you can do on drums that don't fuck up the song, that make it a little fun to play, gives you some creativity. I'm going to throw a fill in here that I don't usually do, and it doesn't alienate anything. It still fucking works.
Yeah, well, we've
it's just such a cool song.
Got a part in there that I don't know if you kind of heard me palm mute a little thing, or I heard you do something, or if we just started doing it together organically, which
You
has
probably
happened.
started it, and then
But
I
it's
probably
just,
followed
it's
it.
just a little bit in that verse. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Gung,
Gung, gung, gung.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
I know
about.
exactly what you're
So-
talking about. And that's one of those things where I probably actually I know that one. So I started accenting that every once in a while, and then I think one time I accidentally did the toms because I was like, I want to hear what this sounds like. So I was just like, fuck it, and dong dong dong, and you palm muted it at the same time,
Yeah.
and then we backed off it. You kept the palm mute, and I went back to the original. I think I might have just made that up.
No,
That
no,
might
no,
be
I mean,
completely in my imagination, but
I'm the type of
I do
player-
work like that a lot. Though.
I do too, and
And a lot of this is
love the
unspoken, too.
intimacy. I love the intimacy of the unspoken stuff between rhythm sections, and as a guitarist, I get kind of a luxury to float in and out of that. Like people are like, "Oh, you rhythm, you lead." I'm like, I don't know, man. I play guitar. I'm a musician. I'm a guitarist.
It's a good way to look
I'm a
at
bit
it.
of a hybrid of both, I guess. I don't know. I've never classified as a rhythm or a lead player, but I do love joining up and hitting.
I would
some
call you a
palm
main
mutes,
guitarist, is what
you
I would
know.
call you.
What's that?
I would call you a main guitarist,
main?
which
Alright,
means
right.
you can go into being a lead guitar player, but you may not be playing leads.
Right.
But you're still capable of that.
Yeah.
Whereas if, like, let's say we brought in, I don't know, Robin Rapsis to play drums, and I'm going to jump in on guitar, I would definitely be the rhythm guitar player
Sure.
or the second guitar player.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That's
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah, okay.
in this band, that's how I would classify that. That's not to diminish my guitar playing skills. I just think it more accurately describes the role that you play based on your capabilities within this band.
I think it fits on how well, maybe another time, another discussion, but how I just am as a guitar player, and grew up wanting to play and finding my voice of how I express myself and fit ultimately.
But with your ego too, though, I could totally see you being able to just be a rhythm guitar player if that's
Yeah,
what was
I just
needed
love
of
playing,
you.
So
Yeah.
and that's the thing too. You very find me a utility player. Like, yeah, man, let's go. Let's have a good time. Whatever you need, whatever fits, let's do it. So
Yeah.
We got a 40-second intro here, so we can keep talking for a few seconds
Yeah.
before
So
we
this
gotta
song,
mute this shit.
One thing kind of interesting is like when I initially brought it into Wally, I went in to record the vocals. I did a lot of it, and it just it didn't sound right. So that was like on a Sunday night. I went back home, and Wally's like, "Yeah, come back, we'll get it." I went to work, went back in Thursday. I'd thrown out everything I did, threw it all out, went back in. I had sat down with a notebook, fixed everything.
Threw it up like the Everclear you drank the night before.
I'm like, nope, I didn't like those vocals. Sure, they were maybe good, but they weren't right for the song.
Yeah.
And I came back in and redid the whole thing. I threw it all out, redid it all that night. So
All
every
right.
one of these songs was all done in a night.
Well, here we go, you guys. This is called Senescence. This is on the record. We will be playing this weekend at the Skyway Theater. We'll see you in a minute.
Don't know if this will ever be over. You speak underneath your breath. Spare me all those dirty looks. You mind yourself, you mind what you took. Shine a light on backdrop eyes underneath me now. The creature dies, got me feeling worn out and cold. I close my eyes. That's as it comes. You'll find what it does. comes for me like it came for you. Well, I don't know what I will have to do when it comes for me like it came for you. Well, I don't know what I will have to do when it comes for me like it came for you. Well, I don't know what I will have to do.
Yeah, dude, it fucking slaps, dude.
Yeah, well, because no one has ever witnessed it before.
It fucking slaps. No one's witnessed sober you.
Yeah.
Like totally
Yeah.
100. No one's witnessed 100% you. Is that what you're
haven't
saying?
even- Yeah, I mean,
You haven't even.
I
That's
haven't
interesting.
even. I've-
That's interesting.
So that
You know.
song, that last section,
That song slaps, bro.
when I
Mm-hmm.
hear you playing that, and like when everybody's together, it's great. And that part too, like there was one thing that Wally said, that the end section when I kind of take off on that sort of like vocal run. You know, I had the lyrics and stuff, and Wally's
Is that
like,
when it goes double time? Is that what you're
it's
talking
on
about?
the when senescence comes.
Yeah.
On that part, Wally was like, "Hey man, this is going good. Like right here, I want you to just like don't think about anything, just lay it out. Just let me hear you." So I just let loose, and that part, every time I listen to it now,
Do you touch yourself?
emotionally,
I had to. I'm sorry, you guys. I had to. I'm sorry. I
it's-
grow up.
yeah, just the lyrics. It's like when senescence comes, it changes who I see in the mirror. I look around and I barely even recognize you. And then the very end of it is, you know, one of those last lines is, it's all just comes sloughing off. Like, I've got senescence eyes that barely see. Oh God, what's left of me? It's all just comes sloughing off, and that's like death, right? When you shed.
right.
So it really hits for me. I feel it, right?
I feel
It's
it. I have
such a slappy
goosebumps hearing
song,
you
dude.
explain it, because I think that is why, or a part of the reason why I'm drawn to the end of that song and the climactic finish of it all, is because that right there, it explains part of it, of why I get this like overwhelming sense of just like release in a way,
right.
and also
it's
of
very
clarity.
Yeah, it's
weird.
very personal.
When
It's a-
you
it's a
do
very
this,
personal,
You build these like messages, right? In your lyrics, and you have these like you have a whole like story, like a point. You know, it's something I really admire about you. Do you try to build that into the sonic scape? Like,
Not
do you
consciously.
try to like literally say, well, the lyrics are building this way, so I'm gonna have the music go in a certain direction, or does that all just come 100% organically?
it's not intentional. It just happens, and I let it. We'll put it that way. I am one who firmly believes that let the song be the song. Whatever I
Sure.
like, you just got to let it feel. It's maybe I've written some stuff intentionally here and there, like with like, oh, I want this to happen here, but it's usually just what does the universe or whatever, the ether, like what is it, what's next, what am I fed into next, right? I follow it, and the songs just kind of work that way.
Sure.
So this song just reached that, right? It was going, there's that kind of just simple, just quarter note riff, going, and it leads to that. So,
it's such a badass song. It's maybe my favorite song on the record, which is hilarious because you literally put it last in the order of all the songs, right? So like there was 2 or 3 songs that hooked
but we're
me.
playing it first live.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Rich is really fighting me on this, but I don't think we should play it first at this show. I think we should play it last at this show, but it sounds like I lost this battle.
Yeah,
at least for now.
If there's at least one person there, we'll consider playing it first.
I mean, I don't really care, but I don't know. I have a philosophy on how you build a live set. It's one of my pride and joys. I think I know everything when it comes to this stuff. So, but here's the thing, man. I'm not going to die on this hill. So there's a lot of hills I will die on. This is
lot
not
of this
one
too,
of them.
though, is Wally. Wally is he's one of the few people I can work with that really can help bring that vision across. So credit for the way the recording sounds.
Yeah, he's really good.
It's
at that.
not.
Hell yeah.
He's a big piece of it too, right? So he and I, we get to work. I put the stuff down. I give him the stems and everything. He goes to town on it. He sends it over to me. I'm like, okay, let's do it. I come in and then I lay down. We retrack all the vocals. Like maybe a couple songs have some of my original stems that I did, but for the most part, we're retracking all the vocals.
Sure.
So sometimes we use some of my original guitar takes and stuff, but a lot of it is all retracked. So a fair amount of it. And Wally played all the bass.
That might be my favorite record.
I didn't play any bass.
That might be my favorite song on the record. I think the next one that is my most favorite is a lot harder for me to pick because the rest that one kind of gives me a little bit of everything I like from what you do and from the record and from the sound, the vibe, everything, right? Songwriting, structure, riffage, everything, right? The rest of them are really tough for me to rank. So it's like I kind of grabbed 6 off the record tonight that I kind of think are 6 of maybe 7 or 8 true bangers on the record. And then I think honestly think there's only 2 songs. One of them you guys vehemently outvote me on, and that's Sinkhole. But I think Sinkhole and then that other Finding the Self or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 weirdest songs. I think the
Finding
rest
the Self is a very dark place.
And it's 13 tracks, so you got 11 bangers.
Yeah. It even took Wally
so weird,
weeks
Who writes
to be able to
11
finish putting all the stems and everything together for. Oh, there's a lot
It's
more
really
too.
good, dude.
There's like 8 songs for Finding the Self. That song is a very dark place. That song was pulled from. I dredged that up from like my pit of despair, and as a result, it came across sonically.
Do you have a favorite song on the record?
Oh, what's interesting is everybody has a different favorite one.
But do you have a favorite one?
I do. I think for me, it's probably Barrier.
Barrier.
I really enjoy that one.
Fucking love that song.
Rich loves that one. You love that one. I love that one. I definitely think that's one of your quote-unquote singles, if that's even a thing anymore. I mean, it definitely is, but...
I mean, I feel like we all love that when we play that. I feel it in the choruses and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
we're all
And I
pretty
still
much
haven't
like,
finished that chorus. I still have not finished that chorus.
I couldn't tell.
Because I'm playing one version of it all the way through. Because it's kind of like... The way I write things on drums, I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. Here's my foundation. And sometimes I build like middle out.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I build front to back. This song I'm building middle out. So it's like, here's my foundation of that chorus. And then I got to pick and choose. So that'll probably be the second chorus, what I'm actually playing. Gotcha. And then I'll dumb it down in the first one and I'll try to elaborate it in the third one. Gotcha. And I just haven't done that yet because there's really no need right now in the process because I'm not on the record, so I don't have to worry about recording. So now it's more about creative freedom and expression and like, what are we going to do live? And it'll evolve. So I'm not marrying myself to it. I'm trying to just nail down this one foundation and figure out what is that? What is too much? What's my fucking porridge, right?
Yeah.
What's my perfect porridge? And then I'll extrapolate from that. And then I know exactly how I do it when it comes to that kind of shit. From a drumming perspective, at least.
Yeah.
If I put down the drums and I start doing guitar, that's going to be super interesting because the skills I have are fine, but how I approach it, you're basically going to almost have to tell me what to play. Like, dude, play this, and then
Oh,
you just fill
sure.
the gaps over the top of that, and it'll be fucking super easy. But it's going to be a different vibe. But
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see that potential as well.
Yeah.
Getting a second guitar player in here and getting I don't want to say closer to the record, but like a different representation of what's on the record maybe would be a better way of saying it.
Oh, Mr. Blake, thank you. That song was a lot of work, but it was an absolute joy to record and to get to listen to. So,
Oh yeah, I'm just seeing Jeremy's.
yeah, thanks for the
Jesus,
thanks for
this
the compliment.
section is good.
You know,
I wonder what section he was talking
I've
about.
had multiple people say that Jared should turn off the subscriber-only chat so that we can get the Russian sex bots back. So you're the second person this week to say that.
I'm never gonna do that. We really do get weird shit showing up in chat. So I turn on subscriber only mode, and you just got to be here for a minute. Subscribe, hang out for 60 seconds, and then you can chat as much as you want.
So this song live will be a lot of fun. You know, if you get to hear the and this song will be released,
And it'll probably either be first or last. So get there early.
yeah, these are coming along. So we've got plans to get it all rolling out, to get the videos, the normal release schedule. That plan gets set in motion, mid-December, and then we'll start having, we'll be releasing all the tracks over the course of the several months. So, and then I'll probably release the album in its entirety with 2 songs that we hadn't released.
What should we play next? What songs should we talk about next? I got Barrier, I got The Void, Coalesce, Saved a Place for You, and Introspect. Those are the other 5 songs.
No Weaknesses?
I did not load up Weaknesses.
Weaknesses and Sinkhole were the first 2 songs that I wrote for this project.
Nice.
Moving on.
Yeah. Okay.
Just kidding. We can talk about those. I just didn't load them up.
Okay, say those to me once more, please.
So we got The Void, Coalesce, Saved a Place, and Barrier, and Introspect.
Oh, let's play.
Well, we were just talking about Barrier, so maybe we should play Barrier.
Yeah, let's play Barrier. We were just talking about it.
So what is Barrier about other than breaking it? Is it about glass ceilings? Is it about...
Oh, yeah. Barrier,
what is it about other than the very obvious?
Yeah, so Barrier is about it's about me coming to terms with fixing things, right? So the first line in it lyrically
Can't
is,
get this goddamn carburetor working.
right? So I'm dealing with that. I smell like gasoline and Gucci right now because I was working on a fuel pump. So
that's definitely the name of your sex tape. Gasoline and Gucci.
I sprayed on my Gucci cologne because I smell of petro.
Nice.
But yeah, my wife's like, "What's that smell?" I'm like, "Oh, it's gasoline and Gucci." So
I tried to buy my wife a cologne that smells like, or a perfume that smells like WD-40, and I got it for her, or I tried to get it for her, and she's like, I don't like it that much. I was like, I love it. And she's like, why? And I was like, it smells like WD-40. And she goes, put it back.
So Barrier, the first line is wild. If confidence is my only curse. So I'm like, if confidence was my only curse, well, I chewed up the apple and I learned the worst. So it's
what about the bratwurst?
It's a little bit of allegory.
What
so
are you saying there? It sounds apple and something bratwurst.
I chewed up the apple and I learned the worst. Basically,
and learned the
I ate
worst?
the fruit of
Bro, I've
knowledge
been
and I
singing the wrong
realized
lyrics
how much
the whole time, dude.
how much of a fuck up I was in the deepest depths of my alcoholism. So that's kind of the awakening.
Oh,
And
like
it goes on.
the apple of like the tree of knowledge is what you're saying? Okay.
So it goes on to then say, I broke a barrier because I don't like it where you are. So, which is fixing myself and those around me because I
think
like
this
where
is
I was.
Rich's favorite song on the record.
Yeah. So this song is very personal also. Every one of the songs on here, it's different again from things that we've done before, but it's about, seeing that. And a lot of times people take the easy route, they don't want to do the work. And I've seen friends, family, I could have been in it too, where I would have just acquiesced to the bed that I made, but I decided to fix things. I decided to bring myself back up. And thankfully, I've got several good friends that have been there for me, you guys included, to put myself back on to get out of the dark timeline, so to speak. And, these songs came with it. These were a huge part of that too. So, and each one tackles a different aspect. I don't know if every single one of them covers it in its entirety. Most of them are just episodic, more to speak. They each have a specific thing. And there were more songs, too, that didn't make it to the studio. I've got about 5 more that also covered different aspects. But this one in particular is really about making a decision to put in the work and do things to make yourself better every day.
And I'll tell you what, musically, the hardest thing about this song is kind of the exact opposite of Senescence. This song, from a drumming perspective, is so easy to overplay.
Sure.
It is so hard to stay not in the pocket, but to stay dumbed down. Because if you play anything obnoxious in this song from a drumming perspective, it completely fucks the vibe. You get zero situations where you can do a super fast fucking fill. There's no improving. You can kind of fuck with the kicks a little bit, you know, if you're getting bored, but like you got to be really careful, because if you're doing too much, the bass and the guitar are so subtle that you really got to just honor the vocals. And I think a lot of people, from a drumming perspective, I think that's very, very hard to do. Honor the vocals from a drumming perspective is maybe the most challenging thing, other than staying in the pocket, which is an ego thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything on guitar on this song that sticks out to you?
Oh, that chorus riff, man.
Oh, the chorus is badass.
I mean, dude.
when you slide down and you and I
riff I've
nail
ever written, and to hear you play it,
when
Maddie,
we nail that, it's so fucking.
my hands couldn't ever pull it off like you do. Like I knew what I was trying to do, and once I gave it to you, once you made this, you took it and you made it your own, and it brings that idea out to a level that I could not achieve. Like it maybe with 500 takes in the studio I can get it right, but it's still I prefer the way you play it.
It's very complimentary for me to play that riff and to have that be like what comes out of it, because that's sort of like that. I'm a very expressionate. I bend and I vibrato a lot, and that song is all, you know, I mean, it just, I can't talk about it without having an emotional response to it, you know.
It's got so much room for that stuff.
Yeah.
Really, you bring out, you're playing one note maybe, but you can put so much feel into it with the bends and the vibrato, which when I play guitar, I do a lot of bends and like I'll try to get like a tremolo in it. And you can do it. You can execute at a level that is my wildest dreams.
Nice,
Another
man.
thing I love about this song is I brought this up to you when you gave me the demo, is you're really good at writing bridges. I mean, like really incredibly good at writing bridges. So in a lot of his songs, he does this where he's got this really nice verse. It goes into a legit bridge or pre-chorus, whatever you want to call it. And then the chorus hits. But that bridge, that pre-chorus, that's a lot of most people's choruses, at least at the amateur level. You know what I mean? Maybe not if you're writing like actual top 40 bangers. You know what I mean? Maybe those guys, it's a different deal. But like, when you just get into this bridge here, that's what a lot of guys would just write as their chorus. But you've got another gear, almost like we're talking about fucking like fighters. You know what I mean? Like when, like this isn't even your haymaker. You got an actual haymaker coming. So I wanted to ask you real quick before we hit play on this. When you say that chorus riff, which one are you talking about? Because the guitar riff is almost the same between the bridge and the actual chorus. Or do you not know the difference? The look on your face, you're like, hold on, I got to hear it.
Because I'm not, because I end up soloing on that bridge. I don't play any sort of rhythm.
No, the pre-chorus bridge.
Oh, that's
so when
fair.
we
That's
come
just,
out
the
of the
pre-chorus
verse,
is do 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 do. Like when you go to the chorus, it's such a.
And then the chorus is just like a more sustained version of that.
Yeah, it's an expanded version of the. Yeah, it's an expanded version of the pre-chorus riff. Yeah. That's my jam. And then I mean, I really fell in love with coloring everything and providing a lot of soundscape on this song with some of the effects. So, you know, I kind of really enjoy that side of it too. So it's a lot.
I'm actually really excited to play this song now.
All right, so let's play
I feel like we hyped it up, and I don't feel like we overhyped it. I'm super stoked. So this song is called Barrier. We will be playing this Saturday at the Skyway Theater. We play early, so get there.
I felt my mind break today.
All right, we're back. Yeah, dude, that's a banger of a song too, Jeremy. Great job, man. Congratulations, dude.
Well,
You wrote a
thank you.
fantastic
Bang
song.
bang.
Thanks. It the price I paid to do it, you know, it was tough to go through all of it, but like that's what this song's about, right? You come through it and you decide to put in the work after you get there. So
Well, and like I say, anything worth doing is not easy.
right, a lot
Like,
of people
find me literally one fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing worth doing that's easy,
Yeah.
and I'll show you something that you fooled yourself into believing is worth doing.
So I've got a
Well, that's not true. Breathing is pretty easy. Definitely worth doing.
no, breathing's hard. I've had asthma a couple times. It can be tough. I've got a friend, my dude Eli. He's taught me to make yourself comfortable doing
In the
shit
uncomfortable?
you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
every Sunday, he and I, like, no matter I stayed up too late playing a video game, or I didn't get hydrated enough, or Eli still he'll booze it up every now and then. So he'll be like, oh man, I stayed up too late and had 2 drinks too many or whatever. Still there. He's still there with me. He's mostly, he's cut way back too. So, which is pretty great. I'm seeing a lot of people that I know give up the sauce, or at least look at it differently. But he's, my dude Eli has been instrumental in helping me to understand that too. Like, he's there, always keeping me accountable. And now you guys do it too, because I know, like, if I won't be failing just myself, but I'll be failing others too. And I recognize that. Like, I got to stay on it.
Yeah,
So,
get your shit together,
Bro.
Jeremy.
shit's together.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's
got my ducks
interesting.
in a row.
I think that's really common, but I ended up having a lot of the same thoughts on that too. And when I got sober, and the more the days added up, and it was just more about, I don't want to let all these other people down that
That's
had
it.
like stuck it out for me and with me when I was like at the absolute worst of the worst and just really didn't even have enough left in me to care about myself per se. And so, you
Yeah.
know, I totally get that.
That's the bridge of Husk. You know, the one day just leads into another. That's what's that about. You watch
Nice,
those
dude.
days.
Nice.
Those days just keep going by and they keep going by. And
Yeah.
what do you want to do with them?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I look at it like this, right? You know, 2 years ago, I had those songs and I thought, so 2 years are going to pass from now. 2 years from today, do you want to be sitting on these demos still, or do I want to be back on the stage sharing these songs with people?
Dude,
that I
that's
knew from-
super.
Right.
That's super relevant to how I currently feel
'Cause that-
about
that-
my
that time's
fucking
gonna pass.
worthless project that hasn't been doing
Right.
shit.
That time's going to pass. You know, if you get on it now, then you're going to be there, right?
Yeah,
But that
that's
time's going to
legit,
pass
dude.
whether you go or not.
I said that to Rich when he first started talking about playing bass, dude. I was like, bro, just start doing it. He's like, what? I'm like, just start doing it.
Yeah.
The time's going to pass. You'll wake up one day and you'll either have played bass every day for a year or you won't.
Yeah. And interestingly, you know, when I started,
Look at him now.
he's good. When I started putting this band together,
He's legit, dude. Like
he's
Rich is
legit.
actually kind of impressive on
Yeah.
bass. Like I don't think he's gonna like blow minds, but I do think he's good enough to inspire young people to like. I want to play bass because he's charismatic, he's passionate. You know
He
what I mean?
is.
So
He
he's got
always
all
has
of
been.
that.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
he's good enough to where somebody'd be like, I want to play bass like that guy. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to like blow minds, you know. He's not going to, and he'll be the first one to tell you this. He's not going to fucking like rival
Right.
Les Claypool, but you would never believe that he just started playing bass in the last handful of years.
Yeah.
You would think he's been playing bass for 20 years.
I don't know that any of us are going to blow minds except for maybe Matty when people hear his performances anytime soon. But
You are that level of guitar player. You
Yeah.
you can blow minds. I'm not blowing any minds on drums. I'm not, but
not yet, anyways. You blow my mind that you can do it. So that's like I knew you could, but to hear
But
you and
actually,
I watch
same
every
thing.
week,
Like
you
I
get
have
better.
inspired people to play drums. Like there are people, believe it or not, that are like, "You're my favorite drummer." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Dude, you're awesome." What are you
What
talking
blows
about?
my mind is that we're here doing it now. Right?
But I'm not blowing anybody's
So
mind.
that 2 years ago, I could have made the decision to just carry on, but I decided.
If
not
I'm
to.
somebody's favorite drummer, it's a vibe check. It's not a talent
Yeah.
level thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Yeah, 2 years ago, I just said, I gave up.
yeah, that's. But you know what? Here you are now.
Yeah.
because you decided to do the hard stuff. You
Yeah, it's
decided to
been
face it.
a wild ass 17, 18 months.
Right. Yeah.
First
here
of
you
all,
are now. Name me your
hearing-
sex tape.
Like, yeah, name your sex tape. I like it.
I don't know why I'm pulling old bits up from K-Fan from 7 years
That's
ago.
funny.
I don't know any of those bits. They're gonna.
They're from fucking morning sports talk radio. I don't know what's going on in my brain tonight.
Yeah.
Key fan. It's funny.
It's gonna be pretty exciting. Like, you know, one thing when I put this band together too, that we wanted to avoid was I didn't want to make Wither the Tide 2.0. Right?
Sure.
Like that was a really important thing. So
We're
I was
real
apprehensive about
fucking
approaching
close.
you to begin with.
Yeah.
But I think like I was like, oh, but the thing is like you don't play in this band at all like you did. You're a different guitarist, and
Yeah.
I feel like I sing very differently. My approach is very, especially live. It's very different than what I did in Wither the Tide.
But no more Wither the Tide members. Otherwise, it basically is Wither 2.0.
Well, we have Rich on bass.
I know, and
So
that's
it
that's
changes.
that's as close as we can get.
Yeah.
Two former members, one of them
Well,
on a different instrument.
there wasn't,
Yeah.
whether I wasn't a big band, so I don't think we have to worry about that.
It had been around for a
they
long
were
time.
huge.
They're
They were
huge.
huge.
They've
We
been-
weren't big, we were huge.
That band was around for a long time and was known because we were always out playing. We consistently had good songs and put on a good performance. You know, I think
But
that
it is supposed to be a different chapter, different music, different.
is.
It is. We laid it to rest. None of us are the same. None of the circumstances are the same anywhere.
But if Sean Hill comes back, then you got to name the next album Wither the Tide. Like
We'll
just
just call
out
it
of
album that.
pure respect. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I mean, come on.
Sean was around for the Chemical record, and then he
Right.
He had to peace out. He's doing something pretty good too now.
He's in Mirror
and he's
Being.
not. He's also
They
drumming.
were gonna be doing this Valhalla
drumming now?
Fest.
Yeah. It turns out they. I was like, hey Sean, I heard you're going to be at the show. He's like, no, we play following Saturday. So they just played.
They
just
originally
played.
they were going to be one of the bands, and I think something happened with booking where they got an I don't want to say a better opportunity. They got an alternative opportunity to play on a different weekend
That's another dude who doesn't
because
mind
they're
playing
literally playing the
music
same
that other
room
people wrote.
the week after
Yeah.
us.
And as a
Gotcha.
guitarist, that dude knows how to compliment and how to bring it up and find that pocket. And again, he wasn't out there throwing sick leads but he was capable of it. But he knew how to put down the parts and play really well and perform consistently, and he had great energy on stage. I still like to work with that dude again.
No, I'd love. Honestly, I'm joking about the No More Wither thing.
Oh yeah.
If Sean wanted to be the other guitar player, I'd be like, great, I can stay on drums.
I'm perfectly happy without another guitarist too. Like I think we sound so
I
great.
do. I
like
agree.
it.
I agree.
like
But
it.
it will be better with two. Do you agree? It'll be better with two. It can't be worse.
Put your back up against the wall.
Kind of doing it. It's like they're an independent party vote here.
Nope.
Hey, don't
Pick
look
a
at me.
side, motherfucker.
Don't look at me. I'm just here.
I think it'll be better with two.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for it sonically, and I'd like to try it. I'm not opposed to it at all.
I don't think it just can be any second guitar player though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Hastings said he's willing to do it.
Of course, man, because you could utilize a lot more with the second guitars for sure.
Joe Hastings is an incredible guitar player. He said he's willing to do it as long as the schedules line up. So he won't be a guy that'll be able to be here every Friday. He won't be that guy, but he is so fucking talented that he could absolutely show up and in 3 rehearsals be ready to be the other guitar player.
Nice.
And he's so tasty in his riffage and he's such a pro, he can play in the pocket that he would just immediately mesh with you. Like it would be instant.
Yeah.
It would be so tasty. So any opportunity we have, we should use him for the second guitar player live. And then I think we just got to build a roster of guys that we can rotate in that are willing to come hang out for a show and fucking.
You have to meet him and see if he
You'll
gels
love
with
him.
us all.
You will
too.
love him.
One thing I want to say also is that
He's a perfect human. He might be an angel.
We've got this project going.
Shout out to Joe Hastings. I love you, buddy.
And I
hope you're
it's
watching.
something where we could have given up, right? I've noticed a lot of people who are in the rock scene. Like I've been in the local rock and metal scene since 1998 when I was back in Subnormal, right? Like way back, way long ago. And then following that was Asuna. But all the people that I've seen continue and just keep at it and not just hang it up, and they're still writing music and releasing it, it's all so much better. At
least the songs are. My playing is not,
bounds.
but my songs are for sure.
Yeah, you know what? You may not think that, but I think even our playing is better.
It's more mature.
Yeah, physically I can still keep up. Like,
My
20 years ago
more
I was maybe a little more voracious, but I can still keep
I
up
think
with things I did then.
I think you're better. I think your songwriting is better. I think my songwriting is better. My playing is matured, and I don't know shit about your past, so all I can judge you on is what you're doing now, and it's tasty as fuck, bro.
1,000 times better.
Oh, Maddie, we've been working together for over a decade.
Yeah,
So-
I am at the best I've ever been.
Yeah.
Because
I've never seen the
Because
bad
for several
version of you,
reasons.
so
You're the tastiest you've ever been.
I'm the tastiest I've ever been for a skinny dude.
Just a little bit of seasoning on there. Like now, you're right where you need to be.
Yeah,
So-
I'm very happy and
It really
very
is
happy
something
to have
do,
my
so-
mind back.
Yeah. And Wally, he's been doing the producing for all this time, and the stuff he's turning out these days is on a whole other level.
For real.
He is so talented with what he does.
I had him on the podcast several times, and I told this to him to his face. So some people are like, God, this is getting a little weird, dude. We should fuck off. I've already had this conversation with him to his face on the podcast. He's always been really good.
Oh yeah.
But a while back, he hit a different level. Like, there was a period of time where he was putting out good records with different bands, but his records kind of all sounded the same.
Yeah.
And then I don't know which band it was that triggered it, but where I heard it for the first time, and when I want to say confronted, but that wouldn't be the right word because that sounds like negative. When I commended him for it, I guess, and I was like, hey, I noticed you made this jump as a producer, and I noticed it on the Stormbreaker record. I was like, this doesn't sound like any of your other shit. He goes, yeah, I kind of fucking turned a page a while back, and he described a few different things that he had been a part of that kind of helped him make that step. But it was like an evolution almost, where he was able to get into your head and get your record recorded. And that's when I told him, I was like, that's when I thought you really became a real producer, instead of what I think most of the time in this town we work with what I would call a glorified engineer. Most of the time they hit record, you record it, and they kind of mix it, and they give you a record.
Oh,
And
there's
that's
some-
not a producer.
There's some great engineers. that
Wally
I've
is a
worked with.
bona fide producer now, though, is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
He is, and it's just,
And he has been for years.
he's just been owning his craft. It was always there. His ability was always there, but now he's found the tools.
I think it
and
was
he's
about
found the way to
7
get
or
it
8
through.
years ago that this transition happened, though.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer. Maybe it was 15 years ago, and I just am only aware of what he's done in the last 7, 8, 9 years. But I did notice a big jump in that, and that's what I think you're kind of talking about, is his ability to like really produce a record and get in
Yeah.
there and help you realize your vision. And that's an asset that I think, and we talk about this on the podcast a lot, that's an asset that I think more young musicians need to start paying for again to really get the best out of their own music, instead of this DIY shit where everybody thinks they're going to be the next Rick Rubin in their own basement recording their own gent record. I know it's a little bit of an extreme analogy, but I think it tracks. I think it's a sound philosophy.
There's that too. Like, and one thing I realize as a musician is that I can't do this completely alone. Like, I could write the songs, I can get it all done by myself, but once I start involving other creatives in it who are on the level, it elevates things to a place it never would have been on its own. And I'm excited for, I've got a whole like bag of songs ready to go for us after after we've been doing it for a while. When we're ready, when we say it's time, I got some tasty things for you guys. I got some tasty things for you ready.
Then I got some tasty stuff for you,
Oh
sir.
yeah.
Slightly
look
off
forward
topic. There's an extra song in there now called the something Hunter.
to it. Oh yeah, that's
Is that
one.
supposed to be for this project, or did you
Yeah,
accidentally dump it into the
that's
wrong
from,
folder?
That's from the same time period that The Void was written.
Okay, so that's an
we were
old
wondering
demo.
about the other vocalist.
Yeah, never had a chance to take
Okay,
off.
so it is a demo of another song. Okay,
It is. So that'll be something I want to work on in the future.
Gotcha.
I've got a couple of them out there that I think we
I'll
could
send
really
you
take
this
more.
folder that I keep referring to.
Sure.
Oh, Maddie has access to the Google Drive.
I don't think I do. I think I just got one thing from you. So I got the thumbstick, which just had the songs, and then you gave me the demo folder.
Okay.
But I don't have a Google Drive access.
I'll give you
per
access
se.
to the main one.
All right.
Maybe you have it, you don't know.
It could
But
be
I'll
that.
relink
So
to it.
it could be that.
I'll read
Because I thought I mentioned I might have had issues with one thing one time too, but
Yeah,
just
there's-
we'll to go through it again.
I moved everything and it broke permissions.
oh, okay.
Because I didn't reset them after. I'm like,
Anyways,
this
all
is-
right. Well, this is great podcasting. So,
talking about
I
privileges
had to
and
ask.
permission.
I had to ask, and I had to do it while I remembered it because I keep forgetting. I mean,
Yeah.
you've had that thing in there for a month, so I had to ask.
gotcha.
But like, I didn't. Yeah, this is not the best podcast.
That's what I'd like us to learn. when
Let's
we
play
get there.
another song. Which one should we do? So I've got The Void, Coalesce, Saved a Place, and Introspect.
Let's do so. Sometimes I'm back and forth on what's my favorite song, and We Saved a Place for You might be my favorite. That one is a really dark one too, but it's also about realizing that like you want to stay. Kind of about you get self-destructive thoughts when you're going through what's happened to some of us. Like I'm sure, Maddie, in your deepest depths, darkest days, you were down there too. This is more about how you want to stay. And then the bridge on it is saying, you never think it'll go like this, but then life comes along and shows you where your place is. You never think it'll go like this, but then it does.
And then it does.
And then it does.
And then
So-
you have the line coming out of what is it? God will shed his mercy.
God will share his mercy, taste it all, swallow your corpse with honey's fill. I will.
I
So-
sent this song to somebody way back in the day when you sent me this record. And I was like, hey, what do you think of this song? And I swear to God, this is what he said. And I'm not going to call this person out because I respect them. I truly adore them. But this is what he said. He goes, that line, God will shed his mercy. He goes, I'm not saying it's not a good line, but you got to, maybe that might alienate some listeners, like not everybody's down with that Christian shit. And it was like, at that exact moment, I went, being a Christian is now the rebel thing to do. It's kind of like being the bad kid again.
I'm
you know
not
what I
going to
mean? Like,
water down my lyrics.
I know,
because I might offend somebody.
and that's why I've never mentioned it to you until tonight because
God
I
will
was like,
share. God will share his mercy.
sorry,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm sorry. I don't listen to lyrics. I really don't. I
and they don't matter that
vaguely
much.
hear the phonic sounds of them. Because if you say E versus A versus O, it changes how the. But I really don't. Nor do I care. Like I have to read lyrics and I'm like, oh wow, they're talking about some shit. But when it comes to me jamming to the song, it's such an ironic thing that I used to be a lead singer and write lyrics because they're meaningless to me. Like, there's songs that will make me cry, and I don't fucking know what they're saying. Like, I could listen to music in other languages. That's how little lyrics mean to me.
They don't.
And I could find those vocals, like, compelling, you know, like tear-jerking.
The thing is that lyrics are interesting because they don't mean anything, but sometimes when you find out
I'm
what
not saying
are,
they don't mean anything to me,
but
usually.
when,
not when I'm listening to the song.
When someone wants to know what they are and they find what they truly are, it can help them connect on a deeper level.
I don't want to sound like I'm diminishing the power of lyrics.
Dude, there's that Prison Iso's IQzo song, right? That Italian one where the dude said, like, lyrics don't matter, and he was Italian, and he wrote that song.
That sounds like
Yeah.
English. Do you know what he's talking about?
No, I'm getting ripped off your guys' cigars secondhand.
You getting
back
a little
here.
buzz over there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am.
Swimming from this thing.
I was like, damn,
Whoa.
I think I got some cigar fuzz going on.
So,
here.
yeah, this song
okay,
is-
I
this
actually
song is
believe
a safe
you.
place
I
for
would
you.
have told
I'm not
you.
a smoker. You
I
know?
would have told you you're full of shit, but I believe you, and here's why. Because Joey Moya sat in that chair. Joey Moy from Uncle Daddy sat in there while me and Derek Grant sat here and smoked cigars, and he kept saying, he goes, dude, I think I'm catching a buzz off
like-
your guys'
I was feeling it
cigars."
like 20, 30 minutes ago. Now for sure, I'm like,
Okay,
yeah, that's
hold
that.
on. Let me
So
change.
now I smell
I'll
like
fix
Gucci
this.
Gars and gasoline.
I don't know,
hold on.
because the thing is,
I will fix this. Give me a minute.
it's been so subtle. It's not the smell I've noticed. It's just now all of a sudden I was like, oh, dude, I think I'm getting a little like lightheaded and a little fuzzy off of this cigar.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. I was a
more so
smoker.
making a joke about it. It's not a huge deal.
No, I was a smoker in my teens. I stopped smoking when I was like 18.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll do a dip. Little bit of the Grizz gets me hyper focused. Back in the day when I used to play Halo 2, and every now and then if I'm shoveling the driveway, I'll have
That's what I feel. I feel like I got a little nicotine buzz or something.
I totally
but
buy
don't
it
know,
now.
Tobacco buzz or something.
Dude, I thought Joey Moya was bullshitting me. All it took was one other person that I know didn't watch that podcast, so now I know. Now I know both of you are totally telling the truth, dude. Okay. Thank you for telling me, dude. It's something I got to consider, man, because not everybody's comfortable with that, you know?
Oh, yeah, and it doesn't make me uncomfortable. Like, I haven't noticed the smell, and you have, like, good air movement. I haven't even noticed the smoke hanging around.
Yeah, it's not
I
it's
just
not
started
like horrible.
noticing
No,
a
thank
couple
you,
of
though.
instances where I was like, I think I got, like,
I'm not
a
being
little
passive
buzz
aggressive.
going
Thank
on.
you,
Yeah,
genuinely,
you're okay.
because dude, I host a podcast. That's something I need to be conscious of. Like, okay, if a bunch of us are smoking cigars,
Yeah,
the other
I don't-
people might be fucking getting high off these cigars, dude. Because
Yeah.
nicotine high is a real thing,
It
man.
is,
And
it
like,
is, yeah.
One thing too, though, I do enjoy sharing a cigar with friends,
With
right?
men.
Because I don't drink
With
alcohol
men.
anymore.
Right,
With
right.
men, but the difference is alcohol makes me stupid. whereas
Right to
cigars
him,
just-
not to you,
they-
bro.
They just make me feel a little bit nice, just a little bit
Yeah,
nice.
I hear ya.
that's all. So
I still
well,
have
and
my
you smoke
vice.
cigs, right?
No.
Oh, you
No,
don't
Maddie
smoke
don't smoke
cigs.
cigs.
Oh, I thought you smoked
Nope.
cigs. I always forget. There's so many guys that I'm
Ah.
like, yeah, because yeah, there's no cigs. Oh, there's a couple in there from the other night, but yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah, like I
I thought you were sitting here
smoked
ripping cigs the whole time.
you want to play this song?
For-
You saved a
Oh
place
yeah,
for
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. Saved
Yeah.
a place for you.
Yes.
Is there anything guitar wise that sticks out to you in this song? Because for me, it's pretty obvious. The fucking intro drums are absolutely they grab you right from the beginning.
Yeah.
There's a couple weird things that happen on the drums as far as on the snare drum, as far as like adding a snare on an upbeat that normally wouldn't be there. I think is really creative. It's really fun to play. It really adds something that breaks away from the monotony, and it makes songs like this really easy to play and really easy to remember. And I always try to explain this to people when I was a jobber. Those really dumbed down 4 on the floor songs were the hardest for me to ever, because the whole thing blended together. This song is a song of distinctive parts, pretty easy to get. We struggled with it specifically from my perspective when he wasn't here, because I didn't realize how many cues I was taking from the vocals.
Sure.
But outside of that, once we got around that, now
Yeah.
we can play it pretty effectively without him. And that's really important to me. And
This song
being a
has
good live band is knowing your cues, not relying on the vocals. And so I just had to go back to the drums and be
Yeah.
like, these are my cues within my own parts. And it's a fun song to play. Guitar-wise, though, is there anything that's sticking out to you as something interesting or something that's fun to play
Yeah,
or
well,
whatever?
the whole song itself is fun to play. It's a rhythmic banger, dude. And so because of that, I love the bridge. By the time we come around to the bridge and it's just down,
Dude, that bridge grabs me by the scruff.
I never play like I just hit that with so much gusto. It's
Yeah.
so it drops right into the pocket, and I just feel like we're just like
Yeah.
you know, and I'm playing on a baritone guitar, right?
Sure.
And I'm just down there, and like I'm on the first fret.
I think I
And-
drop a couple BPMs there naturally as well
Yeah.
to really sink into that groove instead of
Couldn't be
keeping it at the.
unnoticeable.
Yeah. I mean, most people would
Almost
never
naturally
notice it.
because it has a leg. It has a
Exactly.
leg to it. That riff promotes kind of a leg.
Yeah.
The sound of this song, the concept of it, it's confinement.
Because live, it hits that groove you're talking about hits a little harder than it does on the record, and I think what's happening there is I think I'm just naturally dropping 2 BPM, 3 BPM, something just enough to let that part really fucking come in, like just a little bit behind the. My snare is not perfectly on the 2 there, or what? 1, 2, 3. It'd be the 3.
Yeah.
It's like just a fucking maybe a 16th behind the 3, and then you're putting in that extra wow in the fucking just the spank on that riff.
Yeah.
So live, I think it really has a different impact than what shows up on record, because the record is so perfectly recorded to a metronome. And I think it's one of those beautiful dynamics that we were kind of talking about earlier, the difference between the record and what we're doing
The
live.
record is wonderful, but then when you get to hear it live, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Especially when we
It's a
get
lot
2
of fun.
guitars, it's going to be great when you get that little natural chorus effect between two guitar players. Oh, I'm excited for it. All right, so this is Saved a Place. We are also playing this. I think we're playing every one of these songs this weekend except for Introspection. I
Yeah,
think
we're
that's the
not
only
doing
one
Introspection.
because that one really needs a second guitar player for sure. Right? Is that what we figured out?
It would benefit from it, but I don't think it has to. Maddie's shown me he can do it.
We just haven't messed with it a lot yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we picked a different song instead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Saved a Place for you. See you this weekend.
Life comes first, or so we're told to believe. That death will always have the last word. But in some cases, in these darkened spaces, we're put in our places to be. I think I'm
No, that would never happen. No, that would never happen. I mean,
Yeah, so that was-
I have an oath.
Those we saved a place for.
I have an oath, and I've told you guys this. If it's a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday that I haven't already taken off, we're playing. Like, you just show up, we're playing.
Cool.
Like, that's just how it works. So you don't ever have to ask me. Like, those 3 days have been dedicated to music for a very long time. And it was so religious that even the days that I really wasn't, like, inspired to play music or even write music, I would just come down here and listen to music for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's how it was like, no, this is religiously dedicated time where this is what happens here. That's why when a project does show up, it's really easy for me to, like, dedicate time to it, because it's like, no. I've been, like, the way you dedicate time to lifting weights,
Yeah.
I've been doing that the whole time, which is why I'm fat.
Yeah,
And skinny at the same time.
These
It's a
songs,
horrible
too.
place to be.
How we got them to where we were, it's because, unlike Wither the Tide songs, these songs I spent a ton of time demoing them, right? I spent a lot of time actually feeling the parts and making
What do you mean versus the Wither stuff? You said
Wither the Tide stuff, I just write it out, just loops, and I'd be like, oh, this will work for a band.
Oh, really?
I guess you didn't know. He didn't really know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know anything about
Yeah,
that
the
writing
writing
process.
process
Really,
in that was very
we
different.
touched on it in our previous podcast,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize it was like that.
These songs were more written for, like, a band to perform, because I was being a one-man band performing them and making sure it all worked. So
Gotcha,
everything
okay.
played together, and I caught a lot of the little nuance in my demoing to get it all to a much further
That's
point.
amazing. You did
So then-
great, man.
Thanks. When I brought it to Wally, there wasn't a ton of work to be done other than fixing some of the garbage
Yeah.
takes, because I'm not a great guitarist, but it was all there. Like, everything was there, and he had the ear to really resolve a lot of the things that I
Oh,
was
yeah.
getting to. So, yeah, that's why it
That's
might feel
super
a little more
interesting.
natural for how they come across too, and they ended up being a lot better. But also, it's also just learning your craft, right? I've been writing for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years, probably like
Probably
30.
30.
Years now. Yeah.
I'm 25.
Yeah, so I've been going for like 30 years.
That's the second time
Rock
you've
and
made
roll's a
that
fountain of
joke,
youth,
dude.
man. So yeah.
I've been 29
Well,
for 7 years.
With your
I've been
songs,
playing 25 years, roughly.
I'm excited
30.
to one day get your songs out there.
No,
Manny.
but earlier you said we're all in our mid 20s.
Just trying to keep trying to keep it young.
Honestly, you were saying earlier about the aging, visible signs, blah 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 blah. Here's the thing: we look great for our age. Like, my beard makes me kind of look like shit, but other than that, like, we're all aging pretty good for all being 40 plus. Every single one of us.
Really?
I'd fuck me.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I'd fuck you too, bud.
Oh, but
That's all.
I'm
Just take
blushing.
care of yourself. You can.
If
can
I was
reduce the
even
senescence.
remotely gay,
Oh,
I'd fuck
I
all
mean-
3 of you, dude.
I'm thinking maybe if he isn't even remotely gay, he's kind of laying it down.
Whoa,
for us right now.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa! Too far,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah.
Grow up.
no, there's absolutely truth to that. Well, actually, phrasing, I should have waited before I said what I said. It has nothing to do with what you guys were just talking about.
Don't lie.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just messing around.
Don't lie. You'd fuck me.
That with, God damn it.
Oh shit! I did
We're
it.
coming back talking about the songs and how
Health
they're written for
choices
band.
made a huge difference.
Oh, health choices. Yeah.
Right? So I can
Right.
tell you for fucking sure, I can clean my phone every now and then. It'll pop up some automated, here's 2 years ago, 3 years ago, here's a story, here's what you were doing. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, holy fuck, who is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would not be saying that had, I've gone a different way. I don't think I'd be.
You never think life will go like
I think
this.
you're beautiful no matter what. I accept you at your best and your worst.
It's like some kind of marriage thing. I like this.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah,
oath.
I was gonna say
It's
a bad
vows.
Twitter meme.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like some kind of vow or oath.
If
you're
you
giving us.
can't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
Now, part of it too is like, I
All
think
right, show me your butthole.
as we continue forward, like things don't ever get easier either, right? But it's,
Right.
But the difference is, like, we will work harder. Like, there's so much headroom for what you can do as a person.
Oh,
and when
yeah.
you keep your mind, body, and spirit
Yeah.
all in one, all together, all
It's
working
wild.
in tandem, like, you can do so much more. And you
Mhm.
find that limit. Like, it was always the mind will always give out way before the body. You can just push, and you can push. You can keep going. You raise that threshold, right? And you find there's so much that you can do. Even with the songwriting, right? Like, I would work and work and work, and then, like, you find this whole other level that was accessible that you can now get to because you're in that better place, because you're not weighed down. You're not anchored by vice like you used to be. You're more of a complete human, and it brings you closer. And as a result, the songs come out and they're better. So there's a lot to that. And I think with anything, even if you're not a musician, just anything in life, like being in a better place and really finding like, what are those things that can destroy you, right? And well, let's take this one out. Let's take this one out. And over time, you find that you've built a better person in yourself, and you are, when you look in the mirror, that person looking back at you is a better actualization of who you thought you were. You now are closer to that, right? To being more complete. Because I know for me, when I look at myself now, I feel good about who I am. I feel right. I feel like I'm in the right place and doing the right things.
Yeah.
And I think you feel that way too, Maddie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I know Rich does. Rich is in a great place these days too. I wish that dude could have been here. So
yeah, me too. We'll get one with all of us.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, well, we got a few more songs to play, and we're fucking ripping through here on time. So, The Void, Coalesce, and Introspect is what we got left. What should we play?
Oh, let's do Introspection, because that one's kind of a banger. So this one, I think this one we may have tried to experiment with, and whether the tide with some of the loops.
We did for sure. This one I absolutely remember.
Okay.
The origin loops of this one.
Yeah, and it never got completed.
And
that was another one.
No, and it never got cycled back around to it. I think we probably at that point got so invested in Astronoma and writing and evolving into that.
Yeah,
so
this one just got left to the
wayside.
Yeah, there's a couple more out there that I may rework at some point.
I love I call it the nut grab verse, and I don't even know if it's actually a verse, but it's obviously, it reminds me of the story of when Ozzy Osbourne couldn't hit this note in the studio. It's this famous story, and then he finally hit it, and the producer was like, how did you just, and he goes, I squeezed my left nut as hard as I could. And literally, it just helped him jump up that quarter note in order to actually hit those notes. And the way you just go up there, I just think it's so cool. It's way late in the song. There's also a cool little double bass thing that you do in here that I think is pretty cool that you guys put on the drums. It's fun to play. I'm looking forward to doing this one live, even though we're not.
We'll get there.
We're not doing that this week.
We don't have time to fit it all into the set with what we have.
All right, here we go, guys. Introspection. I hope you like it.
Taste like poison in my
being able to be like, no, that's a good problem to have. That's a weird mentality.
Having many songs that you like. 'Cause the
Yeah,
thing is,
or even in manufacturing, you have too many jobs to keep up with. You have a shortage of workers. Like
Yeah.
these are good problems. But
Right,
They seem horrible, but
Right.
they're actually like you're in a
Right.
really good position, bro.
Right.
Like fucking chill out, man. Like you have the ability to complain about X, which means you don't actually have this real problem that a lot of other people deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've got, 13 songs. The only one we don't ever really play is Finding the Self. We'll get there. And I think when we work that song as a live band, it'll come out really, really cool.
Nah, that song sucks. We'll move on. I'm just
You
kidding.
just-
dude. I'm kidding.
I just
dude.
think you don't like 7/4 time.
It's
So-
not true. It's not true. You keep saying this. No, because the Tyrants, we wrote a couple songs where we had some odd time signatures. That's not it. You just have so many other songs that are so great that song specifically. Sinkhole grew on me once we fixed the chorus.
Oh man, I love singing the choruses in Sinkhole. They're so fun.
Sinkhole's dope now that we fixed this chorus, especially the way we go into it now too, with the weird drum intro where
Yeah.
it's just me for 2 bars.
Yeah, I
It
like
actually it works. It's a weird way to start a song, but it works for that song. It makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. So we got 2 more here. We got Coalesce Apart and The Void. Which one should we do next? The Void, probably?
Well, how about The Void last?
You think we should do The Void
We'll do
last?
The Void last. Coalesce Apart is a really great song. I really enjoy that one. It's really fun to play live too. And that one's just kind of, like lyrically, that one is like, it's not too masked. Like it's about putting things back together. And then sometimes, you find yourself when you're first trying to change who you are, like, the things that bring you together, it feels like having to give up these old habits, like you're being torn apart, trying to get the gravity of what you once were in is trying to bring you back. Like it's trying to weigh you back in, anchor you back down once more, and pull you back to where you were. Like you feel a trigger, and it's like you want to go back to that. Like you think, oh, I could just go and have a whole. I could go to the liquor store and buy a bunch of beer, or buy a bunch of booze, and just right back to it. And this song is about that. How the things that bring you together, like there's that shadow, that anchor, still that gravity that sometimes will try to pull you back, and it's overcoming it.
Interesting.
Boom.
Anything you want to mention before we play this song, Maddie?
I got nothing. I love this song.
Yeah, I love this song too. The drums are pretty self-explanatory. It's just a really fun song to play. Pretty much straight. I think that's actually the most interesting thing from a drumming perspective is there's pretty subtle differences live versus I didn't like that fill. I'm going to change that. This one, I'm not going to say I play it straight, but like it's pretty much what it is. Like I don't really change much in this song.
Yeah.
so.
Some songs you don't need to. You just
No,
gotta play
exactly,
the song. Right?
exactly. This one works like that. Coalesce Apart. We are playing this weekend, guys. What's going on here? Oh, is it muted? God damn it! Hold on. I bet you it's muted.
We still live on here.
Yeah, we're live, but I bet you
Oh.
this song is muted.
Something's. I see.
There it
Coalesce
is. Yeah, it's
muted.
down here. Okay, hold on. So let me do this. I'll fix it. Okay, now we'll stop it. Oh, it's gonna show up.
So many pieces.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought we had enough. I thought that we had what we needed. I thought we had enough, but you showed me that I'm so broken and beaten. A fragile shell that holds me in. Now I'm just repeating everything you told me to. So I'll lower my head down tonight. I'll put my hands on my face and I'll wonder why. I think I'm bound to this anger here in life. I'll get it together and set it right. It's a strange discovery. Am I still believing everything you want me to? And when you look at these pieces, can you sense I don't want you to? I am perceiving that you can see right through me. And don't be so cruel, I am aware. It's a strange discovery that we coalesce apart. What if I would keep us together? It's slowly deconstructing me. I can't say that it's gonna be any different than before, but I know that you mothered me into the man I am today. Of the damage that's still here, it hangs an anchor from my neck, and now it's sinking. I am aware of the damage that's still here. It hangs an anchor from my neck, and now it's sinking. I will raise myself up here, alright. I'll take my hands off my face and I'll tell you why. I am farther from the wreck behind me. Now I can see. It's a strange discovery that we coalesce apart. What if I would keep us together? It's slowly deconstructing me. I can't say that it's gonna be any different than before, but I know that you mothered me into the man I am today.
That'd be sick, dude. That sounds super cool. All right, well, we got another song we're gonna play, "The Void," and then we're gonna get out of here. I fucking love this song. I love the way it builds into this crazy climax. I've worked in a very basic drum theme. I feel like from a drumming perspective, this song fits. This song fits the exact example of what you would use if you were gonna write drums. So what I'm doing live, if this were on record, someday you would take this, whether it's a popular song or not my point, but you would take this and you go, this is a perfect way to write drums. Here's what you do. You take a basic rhythm, a basic beat, that's your foundation, and then you build layers like an onion on top of that. So no matter where you look, you're still looking at the same onion, okay? And this song, we're able to do that on drums. Apart from what's on record, I'm able to do that live, where I'm essentially playing the same interpretation or the same expression of the same drum beat throughout the entire song, but I'm changing it in a way that not only adds nuance in each verse or each chorus has its own personality, but it kind of escalates like a roller coaster almost. So each one gets a little bigger, a little bit more dramatic, a little bit louder, and I'm changing the expression on different drums. So if you really listen to it and you were to map it out, the beats would sync in similar places throughout the whole thing, but this time I'm doing it on the snare, or that time I'm doing it on these toms, or it's expressed on the kicks, or whatever the situation may be.
This song is made for that, to really just escalate.
And it's a perfect template as a drummer. I would have written this regardless of what you put on record. These drums would still be what I wrote conceptually to this, because it's just a perfect landscape for a drummer to go in and work the way I did it.
Yeah.
So is there anything guitar-wise that stands out to you big time? Because it's such a subtle song guitar-wise.
Yeah, and I've always been a big fan of that stuff too. We had some things in like the Magic,
Yeah, that's on.
you know,
Underrated,
big slow
underrated
build,
record. The third
big
with
climax, finish, ending. You know. No, but my brain's also a little tired right now. I've been up since 3:30 for
Okay,
my daily routine.
I'll give you a
so,
pass. I'll give you a
yeah,
pass. But
yeah.
vocally, what is the Void about? What does it mean? What's important to you? What do you want people to listen to or pay attention to
Yeah,
when we
so
play the song and get out of here?
This song is kind of a time capsule, right? Because it was written in 2006, and the demo, like, it was done. There really isn't all that's really happened here is we've improved the fidelity of the song, right? We've sought fidelity for it. We found it here.
Right.
This song is really about dealing with just self-worth back then. You know, I was in my early 20s and feeling that, you know, where do I stand, like, in this life? Like, I was kind of, you know, in your early 20s, you're kind of new to adulthood, you're still figuring it out, and it's making me wonder, like, just am I worth this time from other people? Like, that's the chorus is, if you would lift me up, then maybe I would see, right? Like, because it's hard to know that inside lens, there's so much self-doubt in it, and it's hard to see what you're capable of at that time. And it's me just pontificating on that, particularly trying to discover, what can I do? What is my worth? So is everybody's love and effort, is it lost on me? Is it for nothing? Like, all this time and love that people have given me, am I going to do anything with it, or am I nothing?
Right.
So that's why it's called The Void.
I love it, dude. All right, well, listen, guys, we're going to get out of here after this song. We're going to play this song out. So if you want to follow me, everything, social media, every single platform, everything's Jared Singer Live. No offense. If you add me on my personal page, I'm not going to accept you. I only do that for people I know in literally real life. So please stop trying to add me and message me on there. I'm not blowing you off. There's a reason for it. Jared Singer Live is for all that stuff, including if you want to follow any updates until the actual Montoya Machine stuff gets launched. Follow me at Jared Singer Live. This song is called The Void. Maddie, do you have anything you want to plug? Do you have a thing you want people to follow? Or are you just hanging in the background for now?
Yeah, I'm kind of just hanging in the background for now, man.
All right, we'll
I
get there.
appreciate
We'll
that,
get there.
though. Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
get there. I thought that, but I didn't. I figured
you're
I
good,
should
brother.
ask. I didn't want to make that assumption. So this song's called The Void. If you guys want to come see us this Saturday, pre-sale tickets, you do save $10. If you go buy them tonight or tomorrow night, the link is in the description of the show. If you go do that at the Skyway Theater, Studio B, it's $20 pre-sale, and it is $30 the day of the show. Other than that, we'll see you guys. This song is called The Void.
It wasn't enough to be a void of misery. There's an emptiness inside I do not feel anymore. If I need to say this again, I'm in this through the end. And I believe that's what you need to hear. And I believe that I have now made this clear. If you would lift me up, then maybe I would see. If the sentiment has died, if this love was lost on me. If this ever really happened at all, it was hard to tell because it felt like I was dreaming. There must have been a point buried in this. There must have to face this now. I need to change this now. I need to face this now.